Solak and Bertrand, Felger and Maz, Joe Murray. For Boston sports fans, it's 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station. Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Well, the Red Sox only had 4 hits last night, but one of them was a Roman Anthony home run, the first of his major league career, and they opened up a 9-game West Coast road trip with a 2-0 win in Seattle. Lucas Giolito added 6 shutout innings for the victory. The Sox have won 6 in a row now. This 3-game series continues late tonight. Off the field, the Red Sox front office finally met the media to discuss the very controversial Rafael Devers trade over the weekend. Sam Kennedy said that overall things are just fine.
We're incredibly proud of what we've built here. We've got more trophies and banners to show for it than any other organization in Major League Baseball. And we are so proud of that. And this clubhouse believes in itself. We believe in them.
He added that the franchise endeavors weren't aligned on the future, and that's why the deal was made. At the NBA Finals, Oklahoma City beat Indiana 121-11 to take a 3-2 lead. Jalen Williams, 40 points for the Thunder. Game 6 is on Thursday night back in Indianapolis. The Bruins' Charlie McAvoy was named to the U.S. Olympic hockey team yesterday as all 12 countries participating next winter announced their first list of 6 players. David Pastrnak and Pavel Zacha were on the Team Czechia list. And Brad Marchand and the Florida Panthers host Edmonton tonight with a chance to win the franchise's 2nd consecutive Stanley Cup. Panthers lead the series 3-2. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Eastern Massachusetts' leader in drain cleaning and pipelining, Drains by James. Slow drain, clogged drain, needing to contact Drains by James today at drainsbyjames.com. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 6:30.
When breaking sports news happens in Boston,
The news this morning, Marco Sturm,
it happens here.
former Bruin, now current Bruins head coach. The hiring made official today.
Boston's home for breaking sports news and your flagship station for the Boston Bruins all year long. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Ladies and gentlemen, I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Toucher
When has that been necessary to fact check?
and Hardy
I am not known as Mr. Fun.
on 98.5.
Hey there.
Sarge GPT booting up.
Let me hear you say, boo, boo, boo.
Crush me, mommy.
Say my name.
I'm a robot.
I'm the son of the Pope.
I'm a goddamn drag!
Yeah, good luck, dude.
Nothing like a good tushy.
I love you. And I think you know that. Excuse me?
Toucher and Hardy
Watch Daddy and Uncle Freddie.
Knocking back some fun, having some fun.
on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Let's go.
We have Marmaduke.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning. We are Toucher and Hardy. You can watch us on YouTube. Subscribe to 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube. David Lee Roth right there.
And there's a picture of an old man with a Martian.
So he got into a fight with management while he was hosting mornings across the country, and his strategy was to go on the air and start reading the funny papers, which I have to wonder what the end game was there, like how that was going to work out for him in any way.
You know, when you were gone one day last week, Fred,
Yeah.
what was it? I can't keep the days
They
straight.
all
anymore.
run together. I don't remember.
It was one of the days when...
Tuesday.
Okay.
All right. The first day that we thought we were going to be in the Globe, we had Nick go out and get a copy of the Globe. And we had Nick, instead, since there was no article on us to read, we had Nick read Doonesbury for everybody.
I imagine that went without a hitch.
It went really well.
Why'd you go political cartoon on him? Why didn't you give him a nice high and lowest?
It's well, we had him do for better or worse.
Those are old though. You probably memorized them. They don't make for better or worse anymore. You know, the person who did for better or worse is dead.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh,
Yes, they're all rerun.
Oh, it's terrible.
Canadian.
Yeah.
But the dog Farley was featured in the For Better or Worse. that
Who
Nick
dies
read.
in For Better or Worse? I'm not making that up.
Well, it wasn't dead in the one that he read because the dog was actually talking.
Woof. Wow. Pant. Woof.
But him reading Doonesbury, he understood it completely, which made it easier on the rest of us because he was able to dissect the political humor and satire that was being depicted
The
in
sharpened quill of Gary
Trudeau.
Yeah. Jane Pauley's husband.
Mr. Jane Pauley, that's right.
Mr. Jane Pauley, who has the Hunter S. Thompson character. It's all very. When was the last time Doonesbury mattered? I mean,
1986.
Do you think he still makes Doonesbury? Because there's not a lot of money, I would imagine, anymore in like cartooning in the newspaper.
Yeah.
You know, the days of Charles Schultz, whose biography both Hardy and I have both read. Charles Schultz's biography. Not the nicest guy, according to the biography. Troubled man.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to figure he's still cooking them out. And I don't even know what he talks about anymore. Does he still talk about the 70s?
Okay, so Doonesbury was a daily strip, but since February of 2014, it runs repeat strips Monday through Saturday and new strips on Sunday.
Okay.
So he does one a week, it looks like.
Okay. And I wonder what well, that's got to be hard to carry any kind of storyline. If Monday through Saturday it's all repeats and then you just cook out a new one.
I would think. But he's been the launch date was October 26, 1970.
Jesus.
Doonesbury started.
Yeah, he was like on the cover, or the Doonesbury was like on the cover of Rolling Stone in the 70s. Like it was considered something on the riding the crest, but that was before I was born.
He was really popular in the 80s, I think. And then I think I'll have to look this up. I think they gave him an opportunity at like a Broadway show or something like that. So he took time out from the strip and then went back to it when the Broadway stuff failed.
We know it didn't fail. It's something you know as Fiddler on the Roof is what he was his Broadway.
Okay.
He turned Doonesbury into Fiddler on the Roof. That's what you know as today. You see, you don't know that he wrote that. Yeah, I would imagine that the heyday was in the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s. That sounds about right. And he didn't have the good sense to pull it while he could. I don't know how much he probably makes doing Doonesbury anymore. I can't imagine a lot.
It's probably the merch where he's making most of his money now.
I mean, you see all the kids wearing them. And he's got that cigarette character.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Pretty good. All right. During our intro, they have the Boom Guys, which is AJ and Big Justice and sometimes Mama Justice and whoever the sister is. And it's gotten now the Big Boom Guys, where they come up on my algorithm. I know why, is because I click on the video every time that I see the Big Boom Guys.
Sure.
But now they're getting sponsored content, like a lot of it. And they just take the Boom song and turn it into whatever they're talking about. So there's like this Donkey Kong. So this, I guess, justifies their partnership, is that there's one for some Donkey Kong game. And they're like, Donkey Kong brings the boom. Oh. That's what it does. And it's just AJ and Big Justice. They're in Florida, by the way. They're not even real Italians. They're in Florida.
Well,
they're like play like New Jersey Italians, and they're just posing at this point.
Good for those savvy advertisers for striking while the iron is hot on those Boom Guys.
Yeah.
That's good.
But it's just, why would the Nintendo Corporation... Now, I can't imagine they get paid a lot of money, but I just don't know what they think comes out of that. And then you read the comments, and they're like, this is great. This is great. But I got to think that's a robot, right? I can't think that people are really watching that and then taking the time to comment negatively or positively. I am always interested to see what the people are saying, but you would have to be a real brain-dead idiot to post on that, to go like, that's great, or even that's bad. Just let it fly. We're in a very dark place. We really are as a society. And the Boom Guys are kind of part of it. It's like that in Brave New World where the people wear the static things in their ears so they don't have to think.
We bring the boom. That's what we do. We bring
So they just go like this, but they go like Donkey Kong brings the boom. That's what it... Like, I'll play it for you.
boom, boom, boom.
Let me see if it's still up there. It's probably not still up
Oh, that was
there.
the 5 booms for the death in that guy's family. That's
Yes,
right.
but they give 5 booms to a lot of stuff. I don't think it's just
Oh,
that.
all right.
Yeah. I mean, Big Justice opens up Pokemon cards. He likes Pokemon cards, and he plays baseball, apparently, because he he swings, and my son was like, yeah, he hits the baseball really far. And I'm like, okay.
We're Costco guys. Of course we go shopping while eating a chicken bake.
I'll tell you what, Big Justice is growing up right before our eyes.
No social problems in that kid's future at all. He's going to be fine.
When his voice changes, though.
Yeah, his voice changed. His
Oh,
voice
it's
has
already
changed.
changed?
Yeah, it's kind of changing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, we're so sorry to hear about your brother that passed away. He gets 5 big booms.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell the sincerity there, too. Oh, we're so sorry about your brother that passed away. Boom, 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 boom,
boom, boom, boom.
And they never had a they've never decided to change anything. It's just the way it is. Still with the booms. Mm-hmm. Because the
You
father
can change
is
the
very,
guitar solo of Hotel California while you're at it. I mean, if it works, it works.
where you come out with other albums for a little while at least. Go solo for a while. I wonder if Big Justice will go solo.
Good point.
Action. 3, 2, 1. Boom!
No, we're here with Jay Kind of Funny.
No,
We're here with Jay Kind of Funny.
Inner conflict.
Big controversy. And who would get ownership of the booms if those two wonderful people split?
But listen, it's. I bet you that if they would frame it as it's great, we get to spend a lot of time together, as opposed to what their lives would have been like if they never had brought the boom.
Yeah.
Right.
Separate residences. I mean, that's how we all live. Have no interaction with our kids.
Unless you're in business with your kid, I don't really know how you would relate to a 13 or 12, 13-year-old. But see, you make money if you have a YouTube channel with like relatively long form content that you get millions of views, that you can make a little bit of money doing that. But what I've come to understand is that the Instagram, very difficult to make money, even if you get a ton of views. That goes to marketing. But I've heard the marketing market has pretty much dried up for influencers. They've noticed that doesn't really sell product. What you need is like a TikTok craze. Because then you get like Starbucks lucked out because they got some TikTok thing with these dumb pink drinks that I'm sure your children have drank. And you go, why are we going to Starbucks? This is ridiculous. You don't drink coffee. I've never bought anything from a Starbucks in my life for myself. I bought coffee for other people. I bought my daughter drinks, but I don't. And she doesn't drink the drink either. I go to Starbucks and I get this pink thing. She doesn't really get them anymore.
Oh, I know what she does. She takes 3 sips of it and then sticks it in the refrigerator.
Yes,
and then you have to navigate around it for 2 days.
That's exactly what Zoe does. Yeah, it's this big pink thing. It looks gross, and it's not lemonade. It's not pink lemonade. Who knows what it is? And it costs $10. And you get it, and then you put it in and then you have 2 sips, and you put it in the refrigerator. That's exactly what she does.
We went to Starbucks last night because my daughter got my son drinking them, and he wanted one to take to his last day of school today. So I'm like, okay, all right, we'll stop there and we'll grab it. He orders it up. I get to the window, and he said, I'll pay for it. I said, no, you don't have to pay for it. $10.14. I said, oh, you are going to pay for it. Give me your no. Pull your debit card out of wherever you have it tucked away. No, I'm not buying this. This is ridiculous.
Milo started driving, and so we gave him a credit card, which was actually smart by me because I said to my ex-wife, we'll split this credit card, even though I only usually have to pay a third. She only has to pay a third. I said, we'll split this because he's just going to use it all the time, and our parenting plan is kind of gray in a good way, that there's not like stiff drop-off times and stuff. Like Milo slept in my house the last couple of days. Like it is what it is. They're kind of free range, especially now that Milo's got his license. But he rewarded that by he's going into the card business. Apparently, he's found a card shop in Newton, and he's dropped $300 there last month. And so I didn't even bother giving his mom the bill. I just paid it. And I'm like, you got to start selling cards. And so he sold 4 cards. I mean, $40. I mean, you got to be pretty excited about the whole prospect.
I thought I was afraid that he was misusing the credit card, but
no.
To find that he had turned that $300 investment into a $40 return.
Very smart, not giving her the bill for that.
Yeah, because then I think it would blow up the whole arrangement. So better to lose short term and gain long term. But these cards that he flipped out that he got, like that, that was a great pull. They're going for, $10 on eBay. And now he's mad at me because I put them up for auction instead of selling them at one price. And I said to him, well, you realize that they sold at auction for this price because that's what people feel they're worth. If we put them up for what you think they're worth, they'd be up there and we'd have no money. That we'd just be sitting with no money.
And he knows more than you.
Oh, yeah. He's at the age where he knows a lot more than me. And,
yeah.
In fact, there was he's playing in this tournament, and there's this thing called Perfect Game, and you got to, put your stuff in, right? So there's a bunch of things like Perfect Game. There's these scouting services or whatever before you play their tournaments. And so I was on one, and I was trying to do it on my phone, and it was asking me, where I went to college, what sports I played. I didn't answer these questions, but it was this incredibly long form. It was ridiculous. Where his mom went to college, what sports she played. It was ridiculous. Who's going to answer those questions? Get out of here with that. And so, but then it was add a picture, and it kept. So what I'm telling you this is what's his high school coach's name? What's his high school coach's email? What's his high school coach's number? His travel team coach's name? His travel team coach's email? Who knows all this stuff? So I have to write it all down and find it. It took me a half an hour. So I finally finish it. And then I go to drag the picture, and it knocks me out. I got to start all over again. It happens again. My son calls me while I'm doing it, and I'm all agitated. And I'm trying to do this thing. He's like, you don't have to do it. You don't have to do it. And I'm like, yes, I do. And he goes, it's Perfect Game, Ted. I already did it. And he's yelling at me. They already did it. I go, this isn't perfect. I go, your coach said that it wasn't done. Specifically, Fred, can you do this? So I said, I'm doing it. And he's like, you don't have to do it. You don't have to do it. He's argue. And then he's FaceTiming me to argue with me. And I'm,
the call wasn't enough?
And so now I'm on the third time doing this.
Yeah.
Filling out the same information again. What college, this nonsense. I don't know his travel coach's name. I know a nickname for him. I don't even know his name. So I got to go fish through old emails and try to find his name and what's his telephone number. I got to sift through old texts because I don't have his contact information in my phone. So I have to sift through old texts because then I got to go through old emails to find his email. It's ridiculous what I got to do. And he's sitting there yelling at me that I don't have to do it. So I'm getting pissed off, but I'm ignoring him. And he's babbling. And then I finally do it and I show it to him and it's not Perfect Game. And I'm go there. And he's like, oh. And so this is just going to happen the next time.
Yeah.
Dad, you don't have to do that. Dad, no, I don't have to do it, Ma. This is what I say. I don't have to do it, Ma. You're so smart. I wish I would have just stopped in the beginning. You're so smart. I should have known when your coach asked me specifically to do this so you could play in the tournament that I didn't have to do it.
That should have been my tip-off.
That should have been my tip-off. I should have said, hey, you know what I should have done? Spent my day texting him and fighting him about it instead of just doing it. You don't have to do it. You don't have to do it. You don't have to do it. Oh, because I thought I did. I did the research and just figured that I should do it. Why do you think I'm doing it? Your coach told me to do it. Well, you don't have to do it. Well, yes, I do. Your coach told me to do it. You want to desperately play in these things. You want to get recruited. You got to apparently be on these pages. So what do you want out of me?
See, I try to stop from falling in the trap of saying things that my parents said, but I don't ever remember them saying this. And I've said it so many times to my daughter especially. If you had just done the thing instead of arguing about the thing, you would have been done with the thing by now because we've been talking about this for 5 minutes. And what I asked you to do takes 2 minutes to do it. But instead, you want to argue you want to argue about it when you're not going to win this one because when you're talking about unloading the dishwasher, there's not a lot of gray area. There's not a lot of nuance to the conversation.
Have they ever argued, acknowledged that you're correct, and then gone back and argued for another 10 minutes? I've gotten that.
No. No.
Okay.
I've never.
I know, Dad. I know I'm supposed to do it. You're right. Just I'll be back in 10 minutes. No. The whole discussion was about you doing it now, not leaving for 10 more minutes and coming back.
The trick is the balance of not being annoying and getting them to kind of do it on their own, which is a very, very tricky balance. Because he's supposed to go to this place in Hudson to work out 4 days a week. And that's what he's supposed to be doing. And, he doesn't want to go there. He does. It's his idea and, like, his place. And his coaches tell him to go there and this, that. But, if I go, did you go to the gym today? Then it's going to become this big thing. So I got to restrain myself and then see if he went. That's what I got to do. That's the new secret, is not to mention it, but to be thinking about it. Saying I'm paying for this thing.
Good Lord. Hudson is like north of Worcester, right? I mean, it's
no,
like, how far, where is that?
That's where Charter Oak is. How do you not know where Hudson is?
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Nice
range. It's right by
Right
by Charter Oak.
Okay.
Charter Oak. Got that number 1 par 5 dog leg, right? It's not, nice.
No, it's more like 495 area, Hudson.
I don't think it's 495 quite. I guess it's like kind of by 495.
Either way, it's a good half-hour drive, right, from where you are?
Yeah, it's like 35 minutes because there's no good
well,
way of getting
I was going
there.
to say, once you get there, you're not really there yet. You got 20 more minutes to get there once you think you're there.
I see.
But it's a beautiful area. I mean, it's very wooded.
Oh, nice.
Very wooded area.
Scenic.
All right, very good. We will be back in just a moment. Craig Breslow and Sam Kennedy talk to the media. Breslow's not smart. That's the thing. He's really not.
Well, he's a stiff.
It's the
That's what we found out.
He's an effing stiff.
Yeah.
He the problem with Breslow is that he's one of these athletes that got into an Ivy League and then they think they're real Ivy League students. I know athletes that have gotten into Ivy League colleges. The standard is way lower. And then the hardest thing about getting a degree from an Ivy League college, anyone will tell you, is getting into the Ivy League college. My dad went to Dartmouth. Once you're in, you're in. Then it's easy. Getting in is the hard part. So if all the pressure is taken off because you're an athlete, you get into the college, and then who cares? Like Ron Darling went to Yale. I mean, get out of here. It's so smart. So Breslow's like a pseudo smart guy. And he's kind of an idiot, like a real idiot. So interesting.
Had a hard time watching that last night. Had a real hard time.
Well, he underestimates other people's intelligence, which is a big sign of being stupid in real world stuff. Like, it's one thing if you're like a physicist or something, and you're talking about this abstract concepts, but in real world business and PR, there's a certain savvy that comes with it of like understanding the intelligence of the people that you're talking to. In this case, the Red Sox fan base or the baseball media. And, look, he got Roach to carry his water and whoever else. But really, it doesn't make any sense what he's saying. And I never bash the Red Sox. And this is really bad. If I was a Red Sox fan, I'd be super pissed. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
Stay tuned for more Touch.
Money on this deal is $254 million. And if you've been sleeping, wake up. $254 million in Major League Baseball now is effing pocket change. The owner will gladly sign off on not paying anybody $254 million. It shouldn't have been this guy.
Zolak and Bertrand, weekday mornings at 10 on the Sports Hub.
It's called rising and grinding.
Start your
Got your finger on the pulse, Fred. Seldom right and never wrong.
right here. Is that Toucher or is that Target?
Kind of looks like a poodle. It's an effing poodle, dumbass.
The Sports Hub.
Did you catch a game last night?
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. What happened last night is brought to you by Leonard Hair Transplant Associates, where your hair doesn't have to be a game of what happened. So change your lettuce and change your life with Dr. Matthew Lepresti at 1-800-GET-HAIR. So yesterday we talked about this Devers deal, the entire show. One of the most shocking trades you'll hear of, just coming out of nowhere. The timing, the player involved, the lack of return for the player, any way you slice it, a terrible return. And two things that I heard. Well, one thing I think and one thing that I heard. One thing is that, if you got anything back for him, you could say in the aggregate, we believe these three pieces as a total add up to more than the one that even though they're not as good.
Yeah.
But since you got nothing back, that's not an argument. And the second thing was, everyone I heard nationally talking about this, baseball people, were flabbergasted at how stupid it was. And one guy worked with Sparky Anderson. He was talking about how he worked with Sparky Anderson in Cincinnati. And he was saying that Sparky Anderson, what he did was, he said, you need stars. And he said what he did with Cincinnati is he'd take Joe Morgan, he'd take Johnny Bench, he'd take Pete Rose, and he would use them as like a tribunal. And he would sit down, and before they did anything, he'd clear it with those guys. Because he said, try as you might to win in baseball, the guys that are winning games for you are as the season goes on, for a season, for a playoffs, are the stars. And the more you involve the stars, the more the team will ride. It's not about the jabroni lunch pail middle reliever. It's about your stars. And that's Sparky Anderson, who's a pretty good major league manager, even though he looked very old, even when he was a young man.
Even in his 40s.
Yes,
very old.
Sun-beaten Sparky Anderson.
Yeah.
All right.
Craig Breslow knows what he's talking about, and he understands what's going on with this whole Devers thing. He was a big part of it.
Yeah, in that he actually did it. Other than that, the knowledge is a little slim.
To quote our good friend Jake from Boston, he did the thing.
Yeah.
He did the thing that moved Rafael Devers for nothing. So, finally, speaking yesterday, 24 hours plus after the deed was done, speaking last night, Craig Breslow said,
I understand, why the initial reaction would be that, it'd be tough to sit here and say when you move a player of Rafi's caliber, when you take that bat out of the lineup, how could I sit here and say that, we're a better team? And I acknowledge that.
Okay, so.
Wow, thanks.
Acknowledging right from the jump,
good.
You made the team worse. Why did you make the team worse? Why was it necessary to move Rafael Devers? And again, not to trade for him, because to call it a trade does the whole thing a disservice and an injustice. It wasn't a trade. It was just getting rid of Rafael Devers. So why get rid of Rafael Devers?
We couldn't find alignment with Rafi, is the truth.
Oh, this is Sam Kennedy,
yes.
By the way. This is Sam Kennedy now.
We couldn't find alignment with Rafi, is the truth. We all worked at it over the last several months, going back to the offseason, starting with Alex Cora and Craig and the staff, and then up to me and all the way up to John Henry.
So they were involving John Henry in what? Where Rafael Devers was going to play in the infield, or how he was going to bat? What?
They threw Henry in there because he made that trip to Kansas City. I think that's where Henry's involvement actually came in. He had that 5-minute conversation with Devers to try and explain to him how he wanted things to be in Kansas City.
Okay.
I don't think Henry was involved in any discussions with Devers beyond that.
It wasn't just about alignment. It was about inflection.
Yeah.
We worked at it. We had a different vision for him going forward than he had, and we couldn't get there. We couldn't find alignment, and we reached that inflection point, made the decision to make a big move.
Yeah, they said alignment something like 9 times between them.
Yeah, that the media, the pro Red Sox media used flexibility a lot yesterday, and the Red Sox buzzword was alignment.
Which is another sign of being stupid, is when you so categorically and obviously have decided on a line of speaking and then you just use it over and over and over again and expect people not to pick up on that.
Gerard Mayo's, by the way, was collaboration. Remember that?
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a very savvy media thing to do. I mean, unless you're in politics and then you can just come up with a phrase and then, but when you're doing a press conference, it's a little see-through that you've had a meeting where we're going to say this over and over and over again.
Repeating the word alignment sounds a lot better than we couldn't make up our minds what to do with them, and we kept changing our minds. Very difficult to align when you change your mind every couple of weeks about where guy is going to play, as opposed to just letting your best hitter hit and maybe configuring things around him so that bend over backwards. No. But you also don't have to jerk the thing around to the point where it becomes a joke to everybody. And people, the most diehard blue-collar guys looking at this saying, who at the beginning said, you know what, Devers is being a prima donna. He can switch. He can play a different position. He can move. After a while, even those guys were like, stop jerking him around. Just leave him alone.
Have you heard all the guys that have called into the station and gone like, oh, this is ridiculous. I work in the corporate world. Like, okay, well, all right, then I'm a dentist. And so I can relate to Rafael Devers. Like, so you work in the corporate world, so you would know nothing about what's going on with Rafael Devers. I've heard at least 3 people call in and go, this is ridiculous. I work in the corporate world. First of all, congratulations. Unlike everyone else, you work for a corporation. That must be interesting. Unlike all of us who don't work for corporations. You mean you're an American citizen working for a corporation? This is
from your cubicle. You know all about this.
Yeah, well, no, you're not a small business owner. That's interesting. And so,
if you work for Morgan Stanley or if you are working the checkout at the Shell, you're both working.
Yeah, you're working for a corporation.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you see that. So you have no idea what's going on. To be a multi-million-dollar lifeline to a billion-dollar organization, you have a different set of protocols. And if you just see it written out how much they screwed this up from the beginning, it's really something. Like, you can go, well, you can simplify it to go, he wouldn't move to first. And then that sounds terrible. Oh, why would he move to first? But then if you read about the timeline of all the jerking around and lack of planning and screwing around that they did, it makes the organization seem terrible.
Well, it wasn't just them, though, Fred. Back to Breslow.
Oh.
What about Devers' side of this?
There were times during the course of conversations with Rafi's camp, where they had indicated that perhaps a fresh start would be best for both sides. We were committed to trying to work through this. And like Sam said, ultimately, we weren't able to achieve that alignment, but this does represent that chance to reset on our end and for Rafi to get a fresh start.
Oh, I didn't know he wanted a trade. Oh, players never request trades, especially Red Sox players, especially great hitters for the Red Sox.
Well, it seems
Manny
like
Ramirez, who asked for to be traded every day.
He was really putting their feet to the fire too. That in the course of talks, it was brought to their attention that maybe at some point he would like to like to move on.
I just wanted. I didn't see this. I don't know if it was asked. Did anybody ask them? Was there a specific point in time where they decided to trade him? And if the answer was no, then the question is, why did you just drop him like a bad habit for nothing? Did anyone ask him that?
Well, let's see. Let's finish off what I have here while I take a look, because in addition to not getting anything back, or because they got nothing back, this means you're giving up, right, Craig?
this is in no way signifying a waving of the white flag on 2025. We are as committed as we were 6 months ago to putting a winning team on the field and competing for the division and making a deep postseason run.
Just as committed. Okay.
Yeah, and by that is we dumped all our money and got rid of our best player and replaced him with literally nothing.
Oh, God.
We one kid's in Worcester and the other one's hurt, and it will get hurt again. Watch.
We have this enormous hole in our lineup we decided not to fill.
Yeah, and by the way, this winning streak we've been on has been predicated entirely on offense. I mean, they're really been letting it up offensively.
I know. They have 6 wins in a row. They've scored a total of 17 runs in those 6 games.
They had 4 hits last night. It's a real. And then how many did they? I was at the game, but I don't even know how many they had on Sunday against the Yankees. Obviously, not a lot. So, I mean. What, they win 2 games, 2-0 in a row?
Back to back, yes.
Yeah, so,
Sunday and last night.
Yeah, so congratulations, that offensive juggernaut that you've created.
They had 6 hits on Sunday and 4 hits last night.
Yeah, it's a real murderer's row.
Well, you're going to give some of these young players more at-bats like last night.
And a high fly ball. That's driven deep to right center. It's back there. She is gone! Home run, Roman Anthony. Number 1. Red Sox quickly on the scoreboard. What a moment for the kid. He gets to Logan Gilbert and knocks it out of the ballpark.
Yep, then that was half of the offense of the night. Mm-hmm. They would double up that score and end up winning 2-0 last night. Against the Mariners.
They've won 6 in a row. They've scored 17 runs, and the difference is the pitching has only given up 8 in those 6 games. So that, of course, will last them the rest of the season.
Yeah, you give up 8 runs in 6 games, chances are you're going to win. So, congratulations to keep that going. Ridiculous. They're ridiculous. They
better not take credit for this. They better not say, well, we knew this was going to happen the whole time.
What, they knew that they were going to beat Seattle?
No.
Congratulations.
They knew they were going to get a pitching role like this. They knew that Lucas Giolito and Brian Bayo would pitch out of their minds on back-to-back
But I don't
games.
understand what that has to do with getting rid of Devers. So your pitching's good. Well, great. Then you have your best hitter in the lineup, too. He hit a home run on Sunday. He's still contributing.
They didn't get anyone to replace him in that lineup. A lineup that wasn't exactly great to start with. And this is a brilliant baseball move.
Didn't get anyone to... No, they didn't get anyone, period. They got nothing.
That's what I'm saying.
And
you have utility infielders and outfielders in the middle of that lineup.
They just got rid of them.
Abraham Toro and Romy Gonzalez. These are your 3, 4, and 5 hitters.
No.
And they also, by the way, aren't going to play these kids anymore. It doesn't create any kind of freedom. They're not playing against left-handers. That's just the way it is.
Well, yeah, they're still going to bring them along, and they're going to follow that game plan. But
this
makes
committed?
it easier.
No.
The games that they do play, it makes it easier for them to play them.
You should have heard Roach spinning his wheels on here yesterday, trying to come up with.
I heard a little bit of it.
Coming up with an idea of what was going on.
Well, the Red
just
Sox...
repeating the same thing that was texted to you. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't open up anything for anyone. It doesn't. There's no justification of it. Fine, you want to get rid of him, but don't get rid of him for nothing. Well, we were able to dump his whole contract. So what? So that's great for the owner. He doesn't have to pay the guy, but how is that good for the fan base? You didn't keep a little bit of the money and get something in return. Oh, don't worry. We'll go out and get something at the trade deadline. Who? And then you got to trade for that, too. So you're going to give up assets in addition to Rafael Devers. And instead of just giving money and getting assets back, why? Why wouldn't you keep the assets you have and give the money away and get things in return? Well, now we have all this financial flexibility. Okay, well then why didn't you use that financial flexibility to get players back for Rafael Devers? Because you don't have any intention of doing that. You're going to have to give up a lot to get a lot. That's what the trade deadline is. That's what the offseason trades are. They're trades. You're giving up something for something else.
It's not a theft deadline. It's a trade.
Right. Exactly.
They're committed to winning. I don't know what you're talking. I just heard the boss say it. They're committed to winning.
And you gave up your Hall of Fame asset for nothing.
It's not a donation deadline either.
Yeah, it's a little ridiculous. All right, we'll be back in just a moment. Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy. What else is going on, Hardy?
Shohei Ohtani not just hitting baseballs last night for the Dodgers, but throwing baseballs.
Shohei Ohtani is on a big league bump. He's into his lineup, and his very first pitch as a Dodger is chopped foul by Fernando Tatis Jr. Strike one has us underway.
Right into the fire, having to face Tatis. How did the first inning end?
Ohtani's 28th pitch, a 1-1 to Bogarts. A chopper to the left side. Muncy charging along the line. In the glove. Throws on the run. Freeman stretches. In time to get him. And so that will strand Arise. But the Padres do get one on the Manny Machado sacrifice fly following the back-to-back singles to greet Shohei Ohtani in his Dodger pitching debut in 2025.
He stinks. He's got an ERA of 9. He only lasted an inning last night, and they had to pull him. They had to yank him. He was getting shelled.
He was struggling, though. He was struggling with his command.
Yeah.
I actually watched that inning. He throws very, very hard.
So what is the best or the longest case scenario they were going to put him out for last night? 2 innings, maybe 3?
No, he was supposed to be an opener. I think just a 1 inning.
Okay,
I mean, if
just
he,
the one.
well, put it this way: if he had gotten the side in order on 13 pitches, they probably would have sent him back out for a second inning.
I don't know about that.
No, all right.
No.
So
I mean, he's on a restriction. I mean, listen, Shohei Ohtani, if he wants to pitch, is going to pitch. It's just they control how much he pitches. Like, I don't think that the Dodgers are in a. Oh, believe it or not, from what you've learned from Devers, I think if Ohtani says, I want to pitch, that he's going to pitch. Now, I don't think they'd trade Ohtani for nothing.
Yeah.
It might be, I don't mean to speak out of turn.
If they reach an inflection point, Fred, and they can't find alignment, they might.
Because they might think by getting rid of Ohtani for nothing and freeing up all that money, that might make them a better team. But basically, from my understanding, is if Ohtani wants to pitch, he's going to pitch. The thing the Dodgers control is the amount he pitches. But he was throwing super hard. He just was struggling with his command last night.
Let's go to the NBA Finals. Game 5 last night in Oklahoma City. Series tied at 2. What do you think Oklahoma City did with that situation?
Lugens down the lane on Nembhard. Sidesteps him, kicks to Dub. Wide open, left wing 3 on the way. Cha-ching it under money ball. Oh, that was nice.
Again, a slave to that OCD of his.
What?
Cha-ching it under money ball.
We're all participating in a man struggling so mightily mentally. Like,
They
just
put money in the balls.
just having to say that after every 3. Like, I
Cha-ching
wonder
it under money ball.
the shaking and the cold sweats that go on if he doesn't say it, because now all of a sudden war will break out at home. It's become maddening that he does that every single time. Every single time. That means there can be no smoothness of transition, no natural talking. It has to be said. It has to be said. Cha-ching, Thunder Moneyball. Ugh. He's
Wallace
the
wide
worst.
open. The right side angle 3 is on the way. Got another. Cha-ching it under money ball. Case and Wallace having fun in Game 5 of the NBA Finals with 3 threes.
it's just basketball moves so quickly these days, and he still has to say it. Excuse me. Yeah.
He has to say it or something terrible will happen. It's indulging a mental illness is what they're doing.
Yeah.
Well, if you were the program director of that station or whoever the hell is in, I don't know even who talks to these guys. I don't even know if Rick could, but I don't know how it works. I don't know who's in charge of these guys, but whoever's in charge, wouldn't you go to him? Hey, how about this?
Yeah.
Stop saying cha-ching
How
Thunder
about you
Moneyball.
don't say
Some guys work for the radio station. Some guys work for the team.
Well,
It
whoever,
varies.
I don't know. So whoever's in charge of this should go to the guy. Look, don't say that anymore, or say it once or twice. Let's try not to say it. See if you can't say it once. Well, if I don't say it, everyone's gonna. You know, you'd be like, if I don't say it, everyone's gonna want to know what happened. I mean, it's my catchphrase. Everyone loves it. No, I assure you, not everyone loves it. Just
Dortch
because you.
high right, Shea behind him. Draws a double, feeds Dortch. Wide open. Strosha straightaway 3-pointer that's on line. Nothing but net. Cha-ching it, Thunder Moneyball.
And the thing is he's not calling the game good. He's like Shea, like it's Dort. Shea, Dort. Like, all right, dude. Describe the action. You're my eyes. Let's pretend everyone's
He
blind.
is describing the action.
Cha-ching it, Thunder Moneyball.
Don't you know what that means? Learn sports.
That means he made a 3-point field goal, Fred.
Right.
Stupid.
The Oklahoma
You
City.
should say 3-point field goal. That basket's worth 1, 2, 3.
I'm going to use that next. Get another chance.
It's a good Saturday Night Live sketch in there somewhere where the tick is something like super long that the guy has to say every single time.
That'd be good.
Well, that's another shot for the Knicks. Knick, knack, paddywhack, give the dog a bone. This old man comes rolling home. Every time the Knicks, every single time.
And then the Knicks get the ball back before you can finish.
If there was a college guy that was going cha-ching a Huskies money ball, and he was saying it over and over again, he'd become a meme. It would become a whole thing. It's an obsession that needs to stop it for his own mental health purposes.
Tyrese Halliburton ailing last night with a strained calf. He would end the game with 4 points for the Indiana Pacers, all of them from the free throw line. As the Pacers fall 120-109 and now find themselves in a 3-2 series.
You can't play it, but at the end he really shouldn't have been out there. I mean, it was bad.
34 minutes he was out there.
I know,
ineffective.
And they asked him. They said, if you're still hurt next game, like, do you think you should play? And he's like, yeah, I want to play. Like, I'm going to play.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. His head coach is saying that he's not 100%. I mean, Rick Carlisle's out there telling the media he's
hurt.
Really not 100%. And the thing about it is that his replacement, T.J. McConnell, was really good last night. And he performed well in the period of time he was out there. Halliburton got hurt last year in the playoffs, too, didn't play.
I didn't see the end of the game, and I guess all it really mattered for was probably the spread, which was 9.5. But at some point, Halliburton goes back in, and why even bother? Why even bother? If he's not going to, if he's 0 for 6 from the field, he's not giving anything. Why put him back in the game?
Save him for the next game. I mean,
Right.
it's out of reach. I understand in the NBA, most games aren't out of reach at any point, but that was if you play your best player and he's hurt, it doesn't do you any good.
Oklahoma City, by the way, with the 18-point lead last night, got down to 2, like every game, to your point, John.
Yep.
But no, a pretty convincing win at the end.
No pace for money balls for Tyrese Halliburton last night.
Yeah.
Cha-ching it under money ball.
All right, we'll be right back. Will Smith has got a new song out, and I have not heard it, but I had 2 friends send it to me, and then yesterday morning, our own friend Ryan brought it up. So we will have this for you in just a moment.
You're listening to Toucher and Zolak and Bertrand, Felger and Maz, Joe Murray. For Boston sports fans, it's 98.5, the Sports Hub. Paisley Media Group Station. Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Red Sox began a 9-game West Coast road trip with a 2-0 win in Seattle late last night. Lucas Giolito struck out 10 and allowed only 3 hits over 6 shutout innings for the win, and Roman Anthony added his first Major League homer and his first at-bat of the night. Sox have won 6 in a row now. They'll pitch Walker Buehler against the Mariners tonight. Red Sox Chief Baseball Officer Craig Breslow met the media last night to discuss the Rafael Devers trade and said although he sees good things moving forward, he gets why people are upset.
I understand, why the initial reaction would be that, it'd be tough to sit here and say when you move a player of Rafi's caliber, when you take that bat out of the lineup, how could I sit here and say that, we're a better team? And I acknowledge that.
He and team president Sam Kennedy added that the endeavors were not aligned on how they saw his future with the team, and that prompted the trade to San Francisco over the weekend. In basketball news, Oklahoma City is now 1 win away from a championship. They beat Indiana last night 120-109. Thunders now lead the NBA Finals 3-2. Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Finals is tonight in Florida. Panthers lead Edmonton 3-2. And all 12 teams participating in the Winter Olympics announced the first 6 players on their roster yesterday. The Bruins' Charlie McAvoy is on the U.S. team. David Pastrnak and Pavel Zacha have both made Team Czechia. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by South Shore Bank. At Beatles Bank, sharing your success and growing your business is what above and beyond banking is all about. Visit SouthShoreBank.com, member FDIC, member DIF, equal housing lender. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7:30.
Here we go.
Boom. I win. Boom.
Yeah. Hit somebody. Oh.
We've got a passion for Boston sports.
Get angry.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Is elongating.
Weekday mornings.
Here goes Hardy.
Toucher and Hardy.
I no longer love things.
Let's go. Let's ride.
98.5.
Let's roll the dice.
The Sports Hub.
We are Toucher and Hardy. You can watch us on YouTube. Subscribe to 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube. And watch us sitting here. I'll tell you this, is tomorrow it's going to be very exciting as we are going to be out at the 3 of us individually as a unit. We're all going down individually. We're staying at a beautiful hotel. Did you see how much that hotel cost for the night?
I did not look, no.
Yeah.
Like a Four Seasons, Ritz-Carlton type number. Like it was like really expensive.
Yeah.
Like almost $500 for us to spend the night at this hotel.
Well, that's because it's so close to a big event nearby.
Yeah. But we're going to be at the Travelers Championship tomorrow in Cromwell, Connecticut.
Yeah, we are. Let's go, buddy. Let's go.
And Hardy's like, he was like, we're having at the most we'll have 3 golfers. I'm like, 3 golfers?
Whoa.
I'm like, that's
3 golfers?
That's too many golfers.
Who are we getting?
Well, I don't want to.
We're getting Scheffler, right?
If it doesn't happen, I don't want to screw things up for the audience, but there's a chance we get Eric Cole tomorrow. So
no, we have Eric Cole.
Let's not sit here and count chickens, okay?
Yeah.
But Eric Cole
ranked in the top 10 in the world, right?
No, he's in the top 100, and he's a hell of a player, and I'm eager to talk to him.
It's the wrong Cole, if you ask me.
Al Cole is here. Okay. Yeah. What if it was Al Cole? Could we have Al Cole instead?
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Got to get him back. It's been a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll talk to Al Cole again. Sure.
It's summertime after all,
Yeah, I mean, we don't need
something.
A reason necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, we could just say, I mean, summer loving. That's all you have to do. Summer loving. Happy.
Even if they're fat.
Even if they're fat, he'll still bang them. That's what he says. All right. So I've never heard this, but Will Smith apparently has a new song out. Now, again, I had 2 friends text me, have you heard this new song? And then I didn't listen to it because I didn't care enough. But then Ryan yesterday morning was like, have you heard this new Will Smith song? And I went, okay. Now that's 3. And 3 is good enough for me. Now, Ryan, what is the name of this song, if you would? What do I know about this? Need to know about this song. We know he had a new album out. Is this off the new album or what's going on?
It is called Pretty Girls. It is off the new album.
And everyone knows he loves pretty girls.
They're about to.
That's exactly what he likes, is he likes women. He likes women to have sex with other men while he's married to them, is what he likes.
Let some of this spin because there's a music video that I'd like to describe to you as well, Fred, and there's something very interesting about the music video that goes along with this song.
Yeah, Will Smith has had a very public breakdown. And the thing is, instead of just admitting that he had a huge breakdown, this whole rap situation, which he was never good at, but, he was successful at it. But he's kind of like pushing back against it and acting like somehow he's cool when he should just be like, look, I had a breakdown. Some great albums come out of that admission. Think of how many great artists. Mm-hmm. I mean, even rappers have like admitted to that, like Scarface and stuff. Like these dudes admit to stuff. But nonetheless, Will Smith will not. And here is Pretty Girls. For the first time, my first guy in the background, he sounds like he's really driving the point out. Girls. I like girls and boobs, butts, and all that.
Like BBLs, that stand for Bad Bitches Link Up.
Okay.
Huh. Well, anyway.
Is that where women find cuckold men to cuckold their husbands?
Okay, so, Fred, are you familiar with the kink called macrophilia? I ever heard of macrophilia?
No, but you are. You seem to know about all these things.
I do know about some of these things.
Okay.
So
you knew about fin-doming,
Yes.
so now you're going to macrophilia.
So I had this thought. I had to look up the term.
Yeah,
but I had the thought when I watched the music video.
It's not a disease.
The music video, and it shows Will Smith at the beginning, and he's got sunglasses on, and he's rapping, and then it shows the four women that he is singing about.
He's like the Blues Brothers.
Yes, exactly.
Does he have a fedora on, too?
There's these four very well-appointed, attractive ladies, and then the camera perspective shifts. They are giants, and he is a very, very small man. And they play with that concept throughout the video where a woman picks her shoe up, and he's on the sole of the shoe.
Oh, yeah.
So,
like real trash.
But when you think about it, it fits into this whole, like he was cuckolded by his wife and made to feel small. So now maybe he's indulging in this fetish where he loves giant women.
Okay, so
right?
I know what you're talking about because if you'll recall the animated film Heavy Metal.
Yes. That's...
Now, there was nothing more disturbing than when I was a child than when Heavy Metal was on. The animated film Heavy Metal. You're looking at me, John, like you don't know it. I know you know it because we've talked about it on the air at least 20 times.
No, I'm wondering where you're going with this. I have heard of
I'll tell you where I'm going with it. As a child, it confused the hell out of me because there's a fantasy sequence where the guy is like with this woman, but then he shrinks down to like the size of an ant. And he starts bouncing around on her boobs and ass and stuff.
Okay.
And when I was a kid, I'm like, what the hell? Like, it was so confusing and disorienting. I hated it. And I'm like, why is this happening? But there is this fantasy of people.
Macrophilia, fetishization of giants, giant things.
David Sedaris writes about this in one of his books where he gets a job writing for a magazine called Giantess. And I just looked. I just looked it up. He said,
"Glossy rag."
His editor said, "Look, David, our readers are interested in women ranging from 10 to 75 feet tall. You really need to focus in on the growing part of it, like how their clothes rip apart as they grow, and really describe like the size of the nipple. Does the nipple grow to the size of a dinner plate or like a pizza platter?"
Yeah.
And very specific direction from the editor about how to write about this particular kink.
Yeah. See. It's all in the words in the analogy.
Yes. So that's...
Well, how does it... How much bigger than my hand? Could I fall into the areola and wrap myself in it like a blanket? Explain. Can I wear it as a sombrero? Okay. All right, so this is the song is that he likes giant women?
That's what I'm taking away from it. And thank you to Ryan Beaton for pointing out BBL is actually meant to stand for Brazilian butt lift, which is when you get the...
We have more than one person
Yes.
getting in contact with me specifically about this.
Yes.
So,
but do you want it lifted, John, or do you just want it big?
No. It's fine in its natural state.
Yeah, big enough to crush you is all you want.
Yes.
Maybe you have a little bit of this. Do you ever fantasize about like a giant woman?
No.
Okay.
Just huge giant asses. And suffocating under those asses.
thing is, there's not a lot of women that are not pretty to him. He loves women so much. He loves women so much that it doesn't even matter how fat and ugly they are. He doesn't care. As long as they have vaginas, that's what he likes. He loves vaginas so much. He loves
Hater of a heterosexual man.
Heterosexual man.
No taste. No, just as long as they're a woman, that's what I want.
I love vagina. That's it. That's all. That's all I like. It's been synthesized down to that. Just the torso. I love torsos. I think that he might be hiding something. Doth protest too much.
And I ain't talking about just the pretty you see, but the pretty I like pretty girl.
Huh?
I ain't talking about just the pretty you see, but the pretty you be.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
On the inside.
That's sweet.
It's nice.
Well, no, I changed my. What does he think who is advising him on this, by the way?
We got to get to the bridge.
Okay. I wonder who's advising.
Jesus.
Vanilla, chocolate, strawberry, lemon. I like women. There it is. Truth about me. Ain't too many women ain't pretty to me. Ain't too many women ain't pretty to me.
I really like women. That's the truth. That's the truth. I like women. Say it over and over again and make it true. Say it over and over again.
It sounds like, it sounds like one of those camps that fundamentalists put their kids in.
It sounds like he's trying to pray the gay away.
Yeah, pray the gay away.
There it is.
There's only really four the clip that I watched. There's really only 4 women that are giants and that he's cavorting with.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Now, Ryan told me that there is a problem with tempo in this song, so people have slowed it up and then speeded it up again.
Yeah, this is Michael Christmas, the local rapper, did a slow version and a fast version and improved it vastly.
All right. Well, I'll wait until Mr. Hanukkah comes up.
I like pretty girls. I love pretty girls.
It still sucks.
I don't know.
That didn't
DJ
improve
Screw
anything.
style there.
Yeah,
How is that better?
Now, let me see if this is any better.
Just
This
takes
is
longer.
fast.
I like pretty girls. I love pretty girls.
No, I'm not getting that. How that makes any difference at all.
It improves it because it's over faster.
I'm guessing that's the point.
Yeah.
I don't quite know how that did anything to the song. I'm not calling into question the mixing skills of Dr. Christmas.
Just some things can't be saved.
Right. Vic, go ahead, Vic.
As horrible the song is, but that song will be playing at the clubs and international places like Ibiza, Colombia. That it's horrible, but they'll be playing at the clubs all the time. It's a catchy hook.
Oh, no, I would disagree with that. I would completely disagree with that. It's a monotonous hook, a pleading hook to convince people of a falsity. But
I mean,
that's a hook is a catchy hook. He's just repeating I like pretty girls.
You just sped it up, and it got better for a club scene.
Well, yeah, I think that would be anything. Is when you're, rolling and you've done a ton of coke.
Yeah,
I would imagine you'd want things set faster. I mean, if that gets played in a club, then anything get played in a club. Isn't Ibiza supposed to be like they have like actual DJs that are doing things instead of playing Will Smith songs? That's if anything, wouldn't that be a Daytona song? That sounds like something that would be at like Club La Villa in Panama City.
More like Fort Lauderdale type of.
Yeah, that's like playing it at Chili's at midnight in
Strip club
Grand
DJ
Blanc.
fodder. Yeah.
Oh no, strip club DJ is very Marilyn Manson heavy. 9 Inch Nails.
Oh, that's right.
A lot of damaged goth chicks.
Hinder, Lips of an Angel.
Nah. It's not. Well, it's not fast paced enough, but you can do what you want. You can do it. You can interpret that however you want. But I did like to know about macrophilia.
Yes.
Now, how did you know about that?
I knew I didn't know what it was called, and there was a fetish for
I knew that
large
too.
Things and large because it's not just about people, but it's about things. Like I remember the news story. Was it the woman who wanted to marry the plane because she was sexually turned on by the airplane?
There was a woman that quote unquote married the some bridge or
right,
something.
Yeah.
Or like the Eiffel Tower or something else.
Yeah.
But I think that was done for the cameras.
Sure.
I don't think that there was someone who really thought they were marrying the Eiffel Tower, no matter how deranged. I don't think I'm thinking that to get the wedding together and get everything going, that maybe that was done for the benefit of the cameras. call me a little bit of a skeptic, but I don't think that the woman who wanted to marry the Eiffel Tower got it together to have an actual wedding and bought a wedding dress and had everything come out and found someone to do the marriage and all these things. I think that maybe that was to get clicks. That's just my guess. But what do I know about anything? By the way, Sparky Anderson was 50 years old in 1984 when the Tigers won the World Series.
Yeah. Also, there are several forms of the magazine Giantess online, and believe it or not, it's been taken over by anime, and also a lot of the imagery has to do with feet, huge feet stomping on tanks and cars in downtown city streets.
It's an anti-war statement. Crush the tank. End foreign war with your feet.
A lot of feet.
That's not so realistic. Look at she's as big as a building. Look at the cans on that one. Yeah, sweet. Yeah, her feet are bigger than her head. Nice. Sweet. Nice. I can't stand up. I'm aroused. Look at how big those feet are. Sweet. They're bigger than her head.
The whole town might smell.
One toe ring could fit around the earth. Make that. Make the toe is the earth. And we're all living on it. Come on, make it. Make it so
Write about it.
Make it so I can play with myself. Use AI. There's a cover of Vogue, which is a butt, and there's two muscle men holding this butt up. Yeah, John wants to know. Tyler, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
You lost your chance. All right. Danny boy.
Hey, it's very contradictory. He says, I like pretty girls, and then he says, well, they're all pretty to me. The next line was probably going to be, I swear I'm not gay.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's a problem. I hate that people feel like they have to. It's very big in the rapper community, I've noticed. They really don't like. They'd rather be accused of murder than being gay. It's very interesting. I feel bad for the progression of things.
Well, if you look at the way that in the hip-hop community, the Diddy trial is being looked at, it's not focused at all on the trafficking, alleged trafficking, or anything to do with the abusing of women. It's the insistence on male prostitutes is what's really been. If you look at Read Complex or anything like that, or anything that the rappers are saying, it's all they don't want to be associated with Diddy, not because of the crimes, but because the alleged gay behavior. They don't want to be associated with that. All right, we'll be back in just a moment. Bill Burr does a funny thing about that on the Breakfast Club. We'll be back in just a moment.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
we were.
Tampa Bay, same thing.
Yeah.
You keep getting rid of those high priced players, but you have that false sense of greatness now. The dead cat bounce last night. You get rid of your best player and you win a game. Look out.
Yeah,
Look out.
Look out because they're not scoring any runs. The pitching has been very good. We'll see where that goes. I'm going to guess that scoring, what did they have? They've allowed 8 runs in the last 6 games or
last
something
6 games, they've outscored their opponent by a total of 17-8.
Yeah, so good luck maintaining
Averaging less than 3 runs a game, and they're winning.
But, when sometimes you got to put your money where your mouth is. And when you've been on the microphone, hiding behind a microphone as we do, and you've been, attacking people for years and years and years, you get an opportunity to ask a question. And that is what happened yesterday
because some are brave enough to step out from behind the mic.
And one of those guys is you've heard Matt McCarthy. If you've turned him on whenever, it could be a January Martin Luther King Day, and you'll hear him going, Red Sox, more like Red Fox. They have a junkyard.
Very good.
I just made that up off the top of my head. Red Sox, more like Red Fox. Bang, 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 you stink, 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 stink. You stink. All right, so Matt McCarthy took to the Zoom. Now, how does Matt McCarthy get on the Zoom? Who knows? Baseball is in such a place now that it's all just podcasts and Matt McCarthy running around. Anyone could get on it. Who wants to be on this thing at 8 o'clock? So Matt McCarthy apparently is on this thing, and he's fit to be Todd. But in fairness to Matt, he got on the thing, and he sat there and asked, and in all seriousness, good for him. He asked Craig Breslow a question, Sam Kennedy a question, and what did our Johnny on the spot, on his own time, on his own dime, I guess, I heard Joe yesterday saying that on Sunday night, Matt McCarthy came into the station. Can't sit still. Turn it off. Turn off Fox. Matt McCarthy needs to speak. And here's what he said yesterday. Here's the question.
Hi, Sam. Hi, Craig. Matt McCarthy with
Now, pleasantries aside, let's get to business. You know who I am, and I know who you are, fools.
Backup daddy needs some room.
Yeah, now, hello. Niceties aside, now let's go. I'm first. I'm leading off. Unlike your lead off, man. I'm getting on base.
Hi, Sam. Hi, Craig. Matt McCarthy with the Sports Sub. Sam, as you just said that this was a baseball decision, and maybe this is a better question for you, given you've been here a little bit longer than Craig, but...
Now, we've established your history. Now, listen, Craig, step aside, your fool's gold. Let's talk to the man behind the curtain.
Over the course of the last 5 years, you've traded an undeniable first ballot Hall of Famer in Mookie Betts, and now a player who might be building his own Hall of Fame resume in Rafael Devers. So I guess simply put, why does the organization keep doing this? And what are the organizational factors that have created an environment where the Boston Red Sox are, I guess, repeatedly trading away Hall of Fame talent? Thank you.
Thank you.
There it is.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Good question.
A little long.
Good question, though.
Good question.
Good question.
Well, long. Sam Kennedy's long in the tooth. He should be out of this job. Now answer that, you fools. Good luck.
Hi, Sam.
Hi, Sam. Hi, Sam. It's your worst
Matt McCarthy
nightmare.
with the Sports Sub.
Hi, Sam. I'm the exact guy you didn't want to hear from. Hi, Sam. Look at the fear in your eyes. Here I go. Let me cook.
Why does the organization keep doing this?
Let me eat. Let me eat.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck with that. Now that I've waylaid you with my question.
Hi, Sam.
Hi, Sam.
I'm gonna kill you with kindness off the jump here, but and I'm gonna use my manners.
Thank you.
Call me Norm. Hi, Sam. This ain't Cheers, and I'm not Norm.
Hi, Sam. It's a dog-eat-dog world, and I'm wearing milk-bone underwear.
I don't want beers. I want answers, damn it.
Yeah, this is right. Sam, I'm your Diane, and I'm leaving town with Frasier.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Understand the question. Each and every player decision is its own individual decision.
Yeah, every time we develop a Hall of Fame talent, we individually decide to give them up for very little.
They become radioactive and we must get rid of them immediately.
Yeah, you don't understand, Matt. These guys make a lot of money, and paying them is not fun, so what we do is we get rid of them. Because you've seen Mookie Betts struggle and his team struggle. Oh, no, that's right. He's had a lot of success. And the team has won World Series. See, Los Angeles does it the wrong way. They spend a bunch of money and win. We like to do the opposite. And I know riding the resume of the 4 championships.
As I said at the outset, it's really, really hard when we either can't line up with our own players who become free agents or we don't line up on extensions. Obviously, very different circumstances. But I'll put our record up against anybody else's in Major League Baseball over the last 24 years.
Yeah, but you stop doing business like that. Like, as soon as you haven't won since Betts has been gone, like you've not been good.
Ever since you completely shredded the roster at the end of the 2019 season, it's been this.
Yeah, and that's like go back Belichick.
Go back and look at the 2020 roster. Less than 2 years after you won the whole thing.
And the last time we heard this was Belichick, who his last year mother effed everyone by going, just don't worry about it. Like, what about these coordinators? Don't worry about it. We've won 6 championships. I think I know what I'm doing, which is a fair argument. But then you win 4 games, it's time to go. You can't draft. I mean, the game's passed you by. Your model for doing business isn't working. Yes, you won 4 championships by caring about the organization and going all in. Your models have changed. Your 4 championships are wonderful, and I understand why it pisses the owner off he doesn't get any credit for them. But you stopped doing business that way. We all agree with that, right? They did business in a different manner.
Oh, yes.
Manner. And by the way,
changed.
You had every GM that you had that won these championships, you mother F too. You get Epstein's gone, Dombrowski's gone, everyone's gone. I mean, it's not just the players, it's the executives, it's everything else. And then you bring in Craig Breslow, who's a pseudo-intellectual, an athlete that went to Ivy League school, which cuts out the middleman of having to achieve highly in high school. Let's be honest.
We're incredibly proud of what we've built here. We've got more trophies and banners to show for it than any other organization in Major League Baseball. And we are so proud of that. And this clubhouse believes in itself.
But it wasn't you. It was a different brain trust. It wasn't Craig Breslow. It was Craig Breslow has lost control of this organization. We'll talk to a guy who wrote a story in Yahoo about how bad it's gotten.
It's one thing for like Belichick at the end of his time here to stand up and stand on the accomplishments of the past, but at least it was him. At least he was here for it. It's another thing when someone else is up there talking about what this team has accomplished over the last 20 years. It's like, yeah, but it had nothing to do with you.
Well, it had nothing to do with Breslow, certainly.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and you've gotten rid of everyone that it had to do with it, including anyone who insults Breslow privately is fired, apparently. Longtime scouts that dare. I mean, talk about a. I don't even know how you'd have the balls to do it. Apparently, a longtime scout at the end of a Zoom call thought he was off the air and called him an effing tight ass or something like that. And
effing stiff.
Stiff.
Thanks, Brez, you effing stiff.
And then Breslow fired him for that. Like, I don't even know how you'd have the balls to fire the guy, even if you wanted to fire him for something else. After he said that, I wouldn't fire him just for the optics of it. Like, take it. Take a little bit of a side swipe there.
Talk about alignment. How about alignment in your own staff?
Yeah.
That'd be good.
Yeah, and hiring some data company to come in and screw everyone up.
Yeah, that won a lot of favors too. So,
and we believe in them. Craig Breslow, it's easier for me to talk about him. He's he knows what it means to be a World Series champion in Boston. His tenure here, albeit short, has been defined by bold, decisive, aggressive moves.
Has it?
Well, they did make the Garrett Crochet trade.
I mean,
I could have made the Garrett Crochet
trade. he signed Crochet to that big contract, signed Rafael Devers to that big contract, right?
He signed Devers to a big contract
aggressive.
And then immediately pivoted. That was very aggressive. It was aggressive getting rid of your best player for nothing.
a lot of the moves that he's made have been bold and decisive and rooted in what is in the best interest of the baseball team. We're never going to shy away from big, bold decisions.
Yes, it's very bold to get rid of your best player for nothing.
Is it bold to sign him to a big deal and then to get rid of him? To me, that seems indecisive. That seems like the opposite of a bold decision. That seems wishy-washy.
Well, especially when it wasn't like an equal trade. It wasn't even for parts that equal the sum. It was just for nothing.
No trade.
No, you just offloaded money.
Yeah.
I mean, and then there was the pitcher you got was supposed to start Sunday Night Baseball, and he went from that to being optioned to Worcester. So I'm sure he's thrilled with the whole situation. Good luck seeing Hicks this year. And then he's going to pitch and throw 106 miles an hour, and everyone's going to go, "Oh, Fred, you suck." Yeah. Hicks is going to be the decisive piece of a championship team. He's going to be the difference in everything.
We'll get a lot wrong, and hopefully we'll get more right than wrong.
Well, hopefully.
And we'll keep adding trophies to that case and raising banners here in Fenway.
Oh, okay. Well, now it makes sense.
I didn't know they were going to add trophies. Now I feel like an idiot.
Their intention is to win World Series. Do you understand that?
Well, this is the way you go about it.
Yep. Give up your best talent for nothing. It's in a long line of successful businesses. John Henry's hedge fund started. That was the way they did it. They got rid of all the great minds. They took the janitor. They tried to do Goodwill Hunting over and over again. They just kept hiring janitors to run it until something clicked.
We're going to put this problem on the wall.
I don't know the answer. Whatever you write up there is good enough for me. I'll just figure you knew it.
We had this one great quant in here, and he could identify market valuation and everything else. But all these other guys with ideas, they weren't getting a shot. We didn't have time to listen to their ideas because this guy had all the money-making ideas.
Yeah.
So we got rid of him.
We'd made money your way with common sense.
So we could hear these other people's ideas.
Yeah, to get out of here.
They need a turn.
And no, it's not quite an opportunity for them because we can't get our manager on the same page as us, but don't worry about it.
And just a quick follow-up to that.
Just a follow-up to that, if I may, sir.
And just a quick follow-up to that, Sam, if you wouldn't mind, I think a lot of fans would say Betts, Devers, Lester, Chris Sale, over the course of the last 10 years, are you concerned that that's becoming a part of the organization's culture? Thank you.
Ooh.
Coming back around.
See, look at that. Look at my man, Matt McCarthy, going right after him.
Look
at that.
So what you do is you trade, or in this case, give away your best players.
Mm-hmm.
Right down the line. He just rattled them all off.
Trades haven't been great, by the way. Chris Sale for Vaughn Grissom, for example.
So this is your culture. This is now your identity. Does that bother you? Good question.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sure. Thank you.
It's hard when you part ways or you can't find ways to extend star players. It's the hardest part of the job. We appreciate the incredible fan support that we get year in and year out. And as Brez said, at the end of the day,
I feel like I'm in a meeting with them because they're calling him Brez. Now I feel like intimate with them.
This organization is about the overall team, not one individual player. And if we're going to be hoisting a trophy later this year in October, it's going to be because the guys in that clubhouse stepped up, not one individual guy.
Right. So, and we'll make a lot more money on the account of not having to pay that one guy. So there you go.
It would be because that sounds like an overweight relative fetish.
That's good.
Hello, BB Cuz. This is taboo.
And you look famished.
Step Cuz. My car's got a flat tire. I have to stay here tonight.
The thumbnail.
You're walking around in a bathtub. Bathrobe, Step Cuz. Your bathrobe's open, Step Cuz. Because
you haven't missed too many meals either, have you, Cuz?
You keep eating.
I'm just gonna say the thumbnail is like a family dinner. But
all the food's in front of one person.
I know.
And the other one's like eating like a seed.
BB Cuz kink.
BB Cuz. And they play the blues. Big fat blues player.
Who I'm related to.
Who I'm related to. Distantly. Not weird. But enough.
It's a very specific fetish.
Well, listen, it couldn't get any more specific than a giant broad stepping on you. All right. Very good.
Okay.
We're
Good
stepping
for
on
you.
the town.
Good for you, Matt McCarthy.
Yes.
Good for you, Matt.
Good for Matt
Thank
McCarthy.
you.
Yeah.
You're welcome. All right, here are the headlines.
Hi, Sam.
Sports Hub headlines presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Red Sox began the post-Rafael Devers era with their sixth straight win, 2-0 in Seattle late last night. Roman Anthony, a home run. This three-game series continues late tonight. Off the field, the Red Sox front office finally met the media after the Devers trade last night. Both Sam Kennedy and Craig Breslow said that he and they and Devers were not aligned on the future, and that is why the trade was made. Oklahoma City beat Indiana 120-109. They lead the NBA Finals 3-2. Brad Marchand and the Florida Panthers host Edmonton tonight, leading the Stanley Cup Finals 3-2. And the Bruins' Charlie McAvoy has been named to the U.S. Olympic hockey team. Sports Hub headlines are presented by Celsius Energy Drinks. Refresh your energy with zero sugar, essential vitamins, and proven ingredients. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8 o'clock.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Hi, this is Jeff.
I never had it yet.
Oh, you said you didn't want to hear more music in the morning. Okay. Here's more Toucher and Hart.
I don't leave so you can sleep here. You
What?
can't stand the look of me.
Why would
We're
you?
strange.
Oh, that's why. Why would you have to leave in order for him to
I
stay
feel
there?
like I'm invisible. The 11 years. The other guy from Genesis. And the singer from Squeeze.
Did you just do a Mike and the Mechanics pull? That was really good,
Mike,
man. Yeah,
that was a
great song.
Mike Rutherford reference right there.
Mike Rutherford.
All right. Very good. So Nick was out at the Gay Pride Parade, and he goes out there all the time, and every year. And this year he came with him. Should I set it up this way? He came out equipped with photos.
Yeah,
He had a photo of Bill Belichick from the Ring camera,
that's right.
shirtless, boobies exposed and everything. He had a picture of Matt Patricia, and he had a picture of Michael Lombardi. So it was
Yes.
the triumvirate.
Yes.
It was Bill Belichick's posse.
Yeah.
If they were the Fat Boys, that would be the two Fat Boys and the DJ. All right? So he's out at Gay Pride. He's going up to the individuals that are participating in the parade with these photos.
Okay, first off, what's your name? Lapis. Lapis. Can we use this for the radio? Yes. Okay. And describe what you're seeing right now.
Oh, wow. He seems to be on a Ring camera, no shirt on.
Okay, so immediately it's been, they know this is a Ring camera. He knows this is a Ring camera.
Right.
So he's talking about Belichick, obviously. This is Belichick with his boobies and everything else. Confused as days long at the railroad-style apartment where he's just banging the 19, 20-year-old lady. And he's confusedly looking for his car because he's been told to move it.
Airbnb.
Airbnb-sitch. Great area. Here we go.
He seems to be on a Ring camera, no shirt on. Okay. I would say he's somewhat of a silver bear because, he's an older guy.
A silver bear. So immediately he's been typecast as a bear.
He's somewhat of a silver bear.
Okay, because he's an older fat guy. The one great thing about the gay community, not one great thing, but one of the great things about the gay community is the ability to subset everyone that you put them in a category that makes it sound like they're not disgusting. It's been done to me too. Like they can go, oh, that's a silver bear. Like you're an old fat guy, but you're not an old fat guy. You're a silver bear. And there's plenty of community that would like to be of our community that would like to be with a silver bear. Mm-hmm. It's the equality of the whole thing. And you would think by putting people in these subsets that they would be marginalizing them, but they're not. They're making you sound attractive even though you're ugly. And I like that.
Bears.
That's right. It's gruff.
He's big, from what I can tell, fairly hairy. He's broad.
He's very broad. Broad, yes.
And his demeanor, too. Very bristly.
Now he has a nice bag with him.
I'm wondering why he couldn't put a shirt in the bag.
He's in a hurry.
I guess, if you're in a hurry to get out of there, you gotta do what you have to.
Might be sex toys in there.
All right, real quick. These two photos, this guy's name is Matt. How would you define him?
That's definitely bear.
He's a hairy bear.
Yes.
Well, isn't that redundant? A hairy bear?
Bear can mean a hairy, but bear has more to do with size.
Yeah, body type is a bear, right?
Body type is bear.
I was under the assumption that a bear was a big hairy guy, but it's just big in general.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is this anything to do with macro gigantism?
I mean,
or whatever you talk about?
You can be
Anyone checked his feet?
You can be a bear. You can be a hairy bear. You can be a
Yeah, you can be a nerdy bear. That is true.
Glasses, you a dirty bear.
All right. Slut. He's like a whore.
Nailed it.
He's like a dirty whore. He took $1 million and he just had to degrade himself for 10 years to get it. It's $100,000 a year. That's less than a teacher makes. But nonetheless, he decided for that $1 million North Carolina job, he was going to degrade himself for 10 years.
Kind of like a slug, yeah.
I think he's saying a slug.
So it is slug, SLUG, and this is one I was not familiar with, and it's. I'm just doing a quick look here, and this is saying it's a slang term for, well, it would say women in this case, but someone who dates the same sex while in college, but goes back to a heteronormative life. So someone that maybe experimented in college and then kind of came back out of that is a slug, apparently. If I'm wrong about this, anyone can correct us.
This can be identified by their looks.
He looks like
well, apparently Mike Lombardi looks like a slug.
Yes.
Hello, Daddy. Rules of attraction, Mike Lombardi.
Say Danny or Daddy?
I don't know. There's so many subsets. It's so hard to keep track. All right, we'll be back. Nick had these pictures of these three gentlemen. He was out at Gay Pride. We'll continue with this in just a moment.
More Toucher and Hardy next on the Sports Hub.
strong innings for the win. The two teams continue their three-game series late tonight. Red Sox President Sam Kennedy and Chief Baseball Officer Craig Breslow both met the media before the game to discuss the Rafael Devers trade from over the weekend. Losing Devers without replacing him in the lineup would seem to make that lineup weaker, but Breslow disagrees.
On paper, we're not going to have the same lineup that that we did, but this isn't about the game that is played on paper. This is about the game that's played on the field, and ultimately about winning the most games that we can. And in order to do that, trying to put together the most functional and complete team that we can.
He added that the team and Devers were not aligned on how they saw his future in the organization. Oklahoma City's one win away from a championship. They beat Indiana last night 120-109. Thunder lead the NBA Finals 3-2. Game 6 is in Indiana on Thursday night. Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Finals is tonight in Florida. Panthers lead Edmonton 3-2. And all 12 teams participating in the Winter Olympics announced their first 6 players on their roster yesterday. The Bruins' Charlie McAvoy is on Team USA. David Pastrnak and Pavel Zacha are both on Team Czechia. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by John Sewer and Drain Cleaning. With over 50 trucks on the road because your clogged drain is their emergency, go to johnsewer.com. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8:30.
New England plays here.
Down the right side, it's a separation. Touchdown pass. Yes. Perfect dive from Drake May.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Oh boy, I guess it's time for more Toucher and Hardy on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Cover double do. Look like a bear.
All right, we are Toucher and Hardy. You can watch this on 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube. That's right, Guy from Machine. Nick was out at the big gay pride parade. It was a very exciting time, and he came equipped with a picture of Bill Belichick shirtless on the ring cam, a picture of Mike Lombardi, and a picture of Matt Patricia, the triumvirate of Bill Belichick, and he goes up to a gentleman with those photos, and here we go.
First off, what is your name?
My name's Kevin.
Can we use this for the radio?
Yes.
Okay, great. Where are we right now?
We are at Boston Pride in the Common, next to the puppy play booth.
Now, is that dogs, or is that a puppy play booth? Is that another subset?
This is you can let it spin. You will hear about a new subset.
Oh, okay.
This is not like a pride/adoption event.
Right. There wasn't an elementary school kid's birthday party. There wasn't a petting station.
ASPCA may have been represented there in some form, but it was not. It was not any kind of
same-sex couples. I mean, you might have different schedules. We adopting a dog could be a good way to maintain the relationship.
We are at Boston Pride in the Common, next to the puppy play booth.
Puppy play. Now, what is the puppy play booth?
Puppy play is a niche kink community focused on expressing yourself in the moment and just kind of enjoying being a dog.
Oh, you have a mask? Okay.
A mask. His name is Gunner.
Can you describe his mask?
It's a neoprene mask. I have white ears with little pink insides, and I have like a textured nose. It has little glasses holes for my glasses, and I got studs on it. If I take off the muzzle, because the muzzle just snaps off, it just looks like a luchador mask.
Holy shit.
Oh, yeah, that'd impress Nick right there. He liked that. Nick, once you described that it looks like a luchador mask, it had snaps on it. Woo. Nick was just blown away.
Holy shit.
He's like, wow, that dog mask comes off right there. It has holes for your glasses.
Oh, crush me, please, Mommy.
It's got holes for your glasses?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Of course it does.
Holy shit.
All right, so the puppy playpen, Nicholas, come in here. I need Nicholas to come in here, if you would. Here he goes. He's taking the long trudge into the studio.
Instead of that, we should listen.
And they called it puppy love.
All right, so there's a puppy playpen. This guy's got a puppy mask on with white ears, with pink inside. He's got holes in it for glasses, and it's a puppy playpen. What's going on with this, Nicholas?
It's a community. Apparently, a lot of people do this.
Now, are they on all fours, like going around with the masks on, or what's going on?
Well, at the time, they were standing on twos on their.
Well, that doesn't seem like a huge commitment to it.
No. But it could be different.
Now, are you buying that this is a real thing, or was this something to do to shock people?
I don't know. I find out about communities and stuff like that.
Well,
and,
we certainly know about the furry community, but the puppy playpen. Now, was there branding? Was there like a sign?
There was a sign that was branding. I mean, they had a legit tent. There was like a marketplace area, and there was just a puppy playpen.
Now, was there there was an actual pen?
Yeah,
they went into.
But I didn't see a pen. No.
Well, it's called the puppy playpen.
I know.
But there wasn't an actual pen.
But he had. There was about a dozen or more of him going along with their mask on.
So wait a second. Of him? So he somehow duplicated himself?
I'm sorry. I mean, like other people in this community, like wearing their masks and whatnot.
You were blown away. Now, what about that mask blew you away?
I think I was more blown away by the whole situation.
So there was just 12 dudes under a tent just hanging out with dog masks on?
Yep.
Did they have the rest of the costume on?
No, that's the thing. So it's not. That's the difference between, puppies and furries. I mean, furries have full outfits. These guys just had, masks, puppy masks. So,
okay, does this go any further, or are you done talking to this guy?
Oh no, there's more. There's
Okay.
more. Yeah.
All right, here we go.
First off, this is my friend Mike. Mike, he's also.
Now, is this the puppy guy?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're still talking. I'm sorry, it's another clip. I don't know.
Yeah.
You're
No,
looking at
that's
me
all
like
right.
I'm crazy. I don't know what you're talking to. All right, so this is the puppy guy. Is he wearing the puppy mask while you're talking to him?
No, not at the time.
Wow.
No, he
Pants.
took it off.
Pants.
He took it off. The rest of his friends had their masks on.
Nick, can you make the dog sounds again?
Woof. Wow. Pants.
Woof.
Pants.
Woof.
Say woof.
Woof.
Did you do that for them?
No.
Did you try the mask on?
No.
You
But
should have
really-
tried the mask on.
I should have.
Don't say wolf. Try and sound like a dog.
Well, woof woof.
Okay, there you go. That's better.
That's what I did before.
Yeah, I don't know what he was looking
Jesus,
for. All right, here we go.
First off, this is my friend Mike. Mike, he's also Bill Belichick's BFF.
Okay. He looks like Boston's Chris Christie.
Ooh.
He is.
Boy.
He does. He's like that. Very well. He's got no hair on his face. He's a fat guy.
Yeah. You can see that.
Puts M&Ms in popcorn.
Okay.
I think they're both Italian. I think that's what it is.
If you could put him in a
Is Chris Christie? I assumed he was Jewish. I don't know. Maybe he's an Italian Jewish guy. Wouldn't that mix everyone up?
if you could put him in a category besides bear.
Besides bear? Otter, maybe?
Why an otter?
Because he's skinnier than Bill Belichick.
Oh, no, but he's not.
He looks skinnier in this photo.
Now, what is an otter, Adam?
That is a hairy gay gentleman who was a bit skinnier.
Okay.
Because the larger you get, obviously you get into bear territory. But otter, I believe one of the first times you had a guy from Machine on, he defined you, Fred, as an otter.
Yeah, but we had a hell of a time finding what an otter was.
Right.
I thought it was almost just like an insult because he was like, yeah, go ahead.
Slender, hairy, and often younger than a bear, but not as smooth and slim. I see. This is the word again that I don't think.
Oh,
I
you're
can
gonna
say.
say you're twink is the word you're getting.
All right.
to.
Well,
Adam knows the rules.
What
He
is
navigates.
going on? What is
Yeah.
going on?
He treads
here?
in these waters.
No, you could. Yeah, I mean, you're not using it in a derogatory way. You're using it to describe a subset of the gay community, and that's a subset of the gay community.
I'd rather not step on any landmines. And one of the portions of this conversation that was left out was Kevin had met somebody there. He said he'd gone to Pride to meet someone, and Nick asked him if he had, and he said who, and he said that twink over there.
It's good that we cut that out because that's probably yeah. Because again, it's that line of like, how are you using?
Okay,
it?
so an otter is a hairy twink.
Yeah, you could say it that way. Yeah.
Would I be off base saying that?
I don't think so.
Okay,
at
so
all.
a bear is like a heavy guy.
A heavy guy who can be hairy.
Who can be hairy.
hairier
And
the
an
berry.
otter, but there's no hairy bear. They just all lumped into one.
Sure.
But an otter is a hairy, slender guy.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I don't. So it's a grab bag in terms of hair if you're a bear.
Yeah.
You're getting in that ring. You don't know what
Well,
they
I feel
got.
like it's like when you learn about this in like biology, like the different subsets and genuses and things like that. I feel like bear's a bigger one, and then you've got like silver bear and hairy bear, and all that
Grizzly
kind of
bear.
stuff.
They taught this. I mean, I don't remember anything from first grade. I mean, we had the letter people and then the bear.
By the way,
people.
Chris Christie's mother is Sicilian, so
Yeah,
we do
she's
have some
half
Italian.
Sicilian, half Irish.
All right.
Wait, Chris Christie is?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, how about this guy? How about this guy? His name's Matt.
I wasted bear. I wasted bear because he's absolutely.
He's pissed.
I wasted bear. I wasted bear.
Shouldn't have said bear. Idiot.
He's a high-waisted bear. Now, is that someone just pulls their pants up very high to nipple level? Is that a Dorf on golf bear?
Well, how about this guy? How about this guy? His name's Matt.
I wasted bear.
That seems like a lineman write up in a draft article. He's a bear of a lineman, a bit high waisted though. Can't plant his feet, can't hold his ground.
Well, how about this guy? How about this guy? His name's Matt.
I wasted bear. I wasted bear because he's absolutely.
Well, you can go back. Oh, Matt Patricia?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But I can reach out for you.
He's very pretty.
This is your type.
Yeah.
All right, why did you not ask him what high-waisted means?
Oh,
No, he was saying I wasted bear.
Sorry.
That's what
no,
he was saying. He was saying I
he
wasted
said,
it.
He
Yeah.
said I wasted bear because he'd used bear earlier to describe.
Oh, I thought he was
Belichick.
calling him a high-waisted bear.
Which I wish he would have.
Which was why that was making me so delighted. I was going, he said, I wasted bear.
You should have told him that Patricia was a rocket scientist, and then he could have gone with Nerdy Bear.
Behind the glasses, you were dirty bear.
He's not really a rocket scientist. All right. And finally, is this the same? Is this the same guy?
No, this is
I believe this is Ace.
Yep, Ace.
Oh, Mr. Freely was out there. Okay. Well, I look forward to hearing about his adventures in Freely's Comet.
My name is Ace.
Can we use this for the radio?
Yes.
All right. I thought you were at Gay Pride.
Let me tell you something. Part of the conversation, just because it was kind of boring and sports related, Ace had very specific criticisms of Belichick and his time as the coach here, as a Patriots fan.
Good.
He did not like it, but I'm like, oh, that's not what we're talking about.
All right. Yeah. Move on from the sports.
Yeah, move on from the
What
sports,
do you?
please,
Yeah.
Ace.
What do you think we are?
My name is Ace.
Can we use this for the radio?
Yes.
All right, great.
Yes.
And right here,
Yes. Can we use? Yes. 1,000 times yes.
My name is Ace.
can we use this for the radio?
Yes.
All right, great.
Yes.
And right here, I am giving.
I'm sorry. Yes.
All right, great.
Yes.
And right here, I am giving you a photo. Okay. By looking at this photo, what would you define him as?
I have a clear answer here. He's an ogre.
Is there a helium? This is. Do you have? Is he colored blue? Are they living in mushrooms? This is a man that.
Is there a wizard? Is there a wizard and a cat after them?
I mean, seriously, ogre. Okay, so an ogre.
Yes,
and he's
an
talking
ogre.
about Belichick.
Yes, yes, he is.
I can't imagine that's a compliment. This is probably our first insult of the of the morning.
Yeah.
This is our first gay pride. Ace has got his mixed feelings.
He's on the case. He is.
Ace is on the case. That's right.
I have a clear answer here. He's an ogre. I think bears, they have a little bit more cuteness of a factor. Bill Belichick has none of that for me personally. I see that beer belly guts. I see all the fat around his arms, and I'm not turned on by it. And I really, really feel sorry for any 23-year-old or someone that is like my age to have to, even put up with that.
All right, so yes.
And Ace most likely wouldn't even have to look at him.
Yeah.
Analysis of the character Shrek suggests a queer interpretation of his gruff exterior and resistance to societal norms. So yeah, it's ogre from Shrek.
I can kind of guess what ogre means. I'm guessing ogre means gross. That's not too far assumption to make. I'm guessing if someone calls you an ogre, it's not like, oh, no, I mean it in the nicest way. You disgusting piece of garbage.
No,
I mean it like in a really nice way. Like, I find you gross.
You'd much rather be a bear, an otter, a dolphin. No, I don't think you want to be an ogre.
Yeah, like there's a million subsets. You got to be super gross.
I think you might want to be a slug before you want to be an ogre.
I would agree with that any day of the week. Adam's nodding his head. He knows. Adam's good to have around. He can navigate all this stuff. he knows what's going on. I feel very comfortable. I feel like I'm in good hands with Adam.
Finally, I got these 2 photos. So let's start with my friend Matt over here.
Okay, he's very descriptive. Undercover. Like with the, yes.
Friend Matt over here.
Honestly, this is a little bit of a funny one. It's not much of an actual group in the LGBT community, but he looks like a woodchuck with those teeth really bearing out. Looks like he's shouting at another player. Again, someone that I wouldn't say has a lot of power like a bear, but is middle ground.
Okay.
Well, it's all about friction.
And Ace is cheating because he knows too much about football, so he understands the power dynamic between Belichick and Patricia.
He's a sub, but he's saying that based on behavior more than looks. Ace is too smart for the room a little bit, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Ace is putting these guys in boxes based on more than just their physical.
Yes.
He looks like a woodchuck.
Yeah.
Because you know.
But he also prefaces that by saying that's not really even a community. He's kind of inventing one. It's just people with huge buck teeth.
And finally, my friend Mike over here. He's Bill Belichick's BFF.
BFF.
Yes.
BFF or on the down low partner? We don't know.
Well, that's a great question.
It is a great question. I'd say he's a lot more traditional, maybe like a zaddy. Has a lot more put together than I say in the Bill Belichick photos.
I'm sorry, what's a zaddy?
A zaddy? Oh, I'm so glad you asked. A zaddy is kind of like dad bod, but definitely has some queer undertones.
Okay, so it's like like if you're at a soccer game and you see a dad cheering, but you know there's a gleam in his eye that he'd be willing to switch.
Yes.
All right. Well, did you have a good time?
I had a great time. Yeah, it was awesome.
Did they ingratiate you?
They were very friendly. Yes.
Did you find anyone? Did they find you attractive in any way?
I don't know.
You could feel a vibe.
Maybe, I think there was a vibe from coming from Ace. You know.
So did Ace know who you were?
No, he didn't know where I was from initially. Then I told him that I work for here, and he was like, "Oh, okay, cool, hi." And then
okay, so we
hit it off.
So he didn't know the show or anything.
Yes.
No, he didn't.
I don't like that. Ace is a sports fan. He's 24. He's not listening to the show.
I don't know.
Ace.
Yes.
Were you attracted to Nicholas?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Ace.
He looks like a woodchuck.
Okay, no, Nicholas, you can't use it twice. Nicholas has a lot of faults, but one of them
He's an ogre.
Well, no, he's too small to be an ogre. He'd be a troll.
And then I saw her face.
He's an ogre. Yes.
All right. Nicholas, very good. Thank you for going to Gay Pride, even though I know you love it. It's throwing you in the briar patch. He's the one who spent one rainy night or one rainy afternoon in the car with a guy from Machine because the diner was too crowded.
That was a great day.
That was when we learned about scruff.
I like scruff.
Yeah.
All right. June Boom wrote an article for Yahoo. Really?
Fred, hello.
Hello, guy from Machine. I appreciate you always talking to us.
He's a woof.
He is a woof. It's the thing that the guy on The Office made.
No.
Yes, it is. It was called Woof. And it gives you a fax, an email, and a phone call to remind you of things. All right. June Lee wrote an article for Yahoo describing how effed up things are behind the scenes, believe it or not, with the Red Sox. And we will have him talking to us in just a moment.
Toucher and Hardy, those scamps. They'll be right.
Boston Sports.
And I have had many offers to become an insider.
We worked at it. We had a different vision for him going forward than he had, and we couldn't get there. We couldn't find alignment, and we reached that inflection point, made the decision to make a big move.
It's interesting you just played that because Hardy and I got an email from a guy that said, hey, guys, his name is Brendan. He said, hey, guys, as someone with an economics degree, the biggest red flag for me is Breslow's use of inflection point. That is the go-to answer on any undergrad economics exam. Oh, the place where the line graph changes direction is where I should focus on? He's saying that the inflection point, he's just he's trying to sound educated when he's just talking about a thing on a graph. Which seems to... Breslow seems pseudo-intellectual.
That was Kennedy, but same goes for him, too.
Yeah, whatever.
Perfect.
How am I supposed to differentiate them by their voices? I'm no Matt McCarthy. June Lee wrote a great article for Yahoo inside the Absolute S show that led to the Boston Red Sox trade of Rafael Devers. June is a journalist who has written for ESPN, The Washington Post, Bleacher Report, Yahoo Sports. June, hello.
Good morning, guys. How's it going?
Good. Thank you for joining us. I very much enjoyed your article. There seems to be a lot of people locally trying to justify this through their writing. But you kind of got an inside look on the dysfunction of this team. Tell us what you found.
Well, I think, Fred, the point that you just made about the vocabulary that those guys were using, it kind of embodies the shift that we've seen at Fenway Park over the course of the last 10 years, where yesterday there was so much jargon, and it kind of speaks to this like Wall Street culture that's really emerging over at Fenway Park. This was a shift that, John Henry really wanted with Chaim Bloom, but I think it's really gone into full force under Craig Breslow. And I think that one of the things that we're seeing is this kind of lack of communication. And this is a sentiment that we've seen across baseball when I talk to people around Major League Baseball, that the Red Sox are kind of in a spot where they don't really know how to communicate well with not just like people within their own organization, but with other teams around the sport. There was a lot of conversation about how the Red Sox want to become the Los Angeles Dodgers. They want to build this like quote unquote sustainable organization, which has become kind of a meaningless buzzword at this point. And I think that we've kind of gotten to the point with the Red Sox too, where they have just struggled to communicate. And I think we've seen that with Rafael Devers. I mean, that's kind of been at the center of all of this.
Okay, so the way it sounds to me is like ownership is in with management. Management is kind of installing this quote-unquote Wall Street culture. But that information getting to the players and the manager, there's a loss there because obviously there's a disconnect when it comes to playing these kids. Is that kind of what you're seeing?
Yes. I mean, I think that Alex Cora, we've seen, he's wanted to win now, and he's complained about it in public to the media for years. I mean, it's one of those things where the Red Sox are constantly talking about building a sustainable winner, but when are they trying to actually win and go all in? They say that, that they think that they can win more games now that Rafael Devers isn't with the team, but I mean, Devers is one of the 10 best hitters in baseball. That's not a guy you can just replace. It's not the same thing as the Nomar trade back in 2004 when Nomar wasn't really good anymore, even though he was still a fan favorite. So there's kind of a disconnect right now, I think, between the front office, and most importantly, the coaching staff, where their idea of what it means to win now doesn't actually look the same.
You were talking about disconnect between Breslow and Cora. One thing I really found fascinating in your piece is the disconnect between Breslow and his own people. I think the word you used was he's insulated himself.
Yeah, so, I mean, the Red Sox, I think, more than most organizations, have had people working in that front office dating back almost 20 years, dating back to the Theo Epstein era. And that sort of organizational consistency, people being there for such a long time, and having the institutional knowledge of how this team has worked for such a long time, I think is a little bit different than what happened with Moneyball, where you have this like old group of scouts who are complaining at Billy Beane. These are people who are willing to adjust and have adjusted over the years to the different styles of operating a baseball team. But what has happened is, Breslow has basically looked at that group of people and decided this isn't done the way that it's supposed to be done in baseball today, and locked them all out. And, part of me is like a little shocked that, all of this information is even coming out to me, because, the fact that the information about a scout getting fired because of a Zoom hot mic.
Yeah, tell that story. That's a great story. All right, so there is a Zoom meeting between the front office, right? And tell us what happened.
So basically, there's a Zoom meeting that's filled with people from across the organization. Breslow is giving information. The Zoom meeting ends, and on a hot mic, a scouting coordinator, his name is Carl Moshe. He'd been with the Red Sox since 2017. He says under his breath, "Thank you, Brez, you effing stiff." And that goes out across the entire organization. This happened about a month ago. And Breslow, as a result of that going out there, decided to fire Moshe. Now, it's interesting because Moshe's sentiment is kind of reflected across most of the front office right now. And so the fact that this got out there, is kind of an embodiment of how much chaos is going on in the front office. The fact that this is a sentiment that not only happened in a Zoom meeting but got out to the public, got to me as a reporter, I think speaks to the level of chaos that is going on and the level of disagreement that's going on, between Breslow and the rest of the front office. Like, you often have to think, I often think as a reporter, why is this information even getting to me in the first place? The fact that someone is willing to tell me this piece of information, wants it published, basically, wants people in Boston to know this information, I think speaks to how much people within the Red Sox organization who have been there for years and years and years understand how the media works, understand how this market works, understand the urgency that fans feel to win, especially after the last 5 years post-Mookie trade, I think speaks to the level of chaos and dysfunction that we're seeing within the Red Sox front office right now.
Now, how was it described? So Breslow just fired the guy for saying that? It would almost seem that even if I wanted to fire the guy for other reasons, him saying that would make me not fire him because I wouldn't want people to think I couldn't take that kind of criticism.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how information gets to you, is petty moves like that. Like, someone calls you an effing stiff and you can't take it. Good luck. See, you can be as smart as you want to be, but part of being good at something is being able to communicate to others your plan. And if you can't take any kind of feedback and you can't communicate your wants to other people, you're useless.
And also for that guy specifically, June, I would think if Breslow had handled that better, he would have said, all right, you said that, but now I effing own you. And now, I've got one. I've got one on you. I'm gonna let this go. But here's how I'm going to utilize this to my advantage, and hopefully get him on board eventually. But that's a guy that you don't necessarily have to dismiss right away. You can use that to your advantage.
I don't know. Guy calls me an effing stiff. I'm not. I don't. What do I care? Don't you have kids? I mean, everyone's constantly insulting me. That would be like the least insulting thing someone had said to me on most days. But that's the kind of thing that gets people talking to the media. That's bad management. Do you understand? That's why June Lee's got this story. It's because people see that, and it's such Bush League nonsense that's what gets this stuff into the ether, which is part of your job, is keeping things in-house, and you keep things in-house by not alienating everyone around you. But that sounds like kind of what's going on. What is the feeling of how Rafael Devers was treated? Because there's a lot being made of this. Different camps. A lot of people think, obviously, that he was not a company man. Other people think that the organization messed it up. What's the feeling in that, in-house?
I mean, I don't really think that Devers handled the situation as well as he could have. At the same time, Hardy, I think you're spot on. It's one of those situations where, I think a more experienced manager, someone who has been able to work with people for a long time, probably handles it more similarly to what you said. But I think we're in a position where, this is a guy who's trying to establish his authority within the organization. There's been people there working there for 20 years that people have more trust with. And this is a guy who, wasn't the first or second candidate that the team wanted. This is someone who was kind of a tertiary candidate that the Red Sox ended up hiring. So I think this is someone who really wants to make his stamp on the organization. And so, I think it kind of mirrors what happens with Rafi, where, there was a lack of communication for the entire offseason. Breslow himself admitted it in the press conference yesterday, where he's kind of reflecting and looking back at how things could have been better. But that lack of communication from the get-go, where he's basically saying, you're the third baseman for the entire offseason, and then he has to get convinced by Alex Cora to sign Alex Bregman to be pushed over the edge to try to go in on this season. And at that point, Devers is pissed off because he's like, wait a minute, you guys told me that I was going to be the third baseman this entire offseason. Did Devers handle the situation as well as he could have? Absolutely not. But this was a situation that could have been prevented in the first place by just communicating and being upfront with the player at the beginning of the situation. So I think that the situation with Carl Moshe, like, I understand to some degree that, like, calling your boss an effing stiff, that's probably something that you, like, don't want to happen. At the same time, there's a way to, like, confront that someone and also understand, like, hey, maybe this is a situation where if someone's willing to say this, even on, like, a just ending Zoom call, there might be other issues within the organization right now. And so, trying to just fire that guy, I think, also aligns with the lack of communication we're seeing where, if someone was just a little bit more upfront, was just made themselves a little bit more vulnerable, not just even in public, but with their own employees, the situation lands completely differently with everyone involved.
Well, how much of an issue was Devers in the clubhouse? And, we got a report yesterday that, there was kind of like a sigh of relief among some people in the front office because he had become such a problem to deal with, whether it was with the media or other obligations that he had for the team.
They don't. John Henry never talks to the media. They had to go out to the West Coast to talk to the media. That's the stupidest thing.
Other people are expected to, and it hardly matters for winning or losing, but the clubhouse issue could be. I'm trying to see if there's any validity to that notion that Devers had become a problem.
From my understanding, this was more of a clubhouse issue that reflected poorly on the front office than it did, upon other teammates. I think other teammates, to some degree, understood why Rafi was so frustrated with the situation because of the lack of communication. I talked with a Red Sox player a couple weeks back for a story that was completely unrelated to the Devers situation. I just asked him what was going on, and he said, we're not really thinking about it because it's just day-to-day stuff. And, Rafi's not complaining about it to the rest of the clubhouse. Like, all of this stuff, it was more of an attitude thing. Like, it's just the vibe that he's carrying on a day-to-day basis. But I think that there was enough veteran leadership in this particular Red Sox clubhouse where, they weren't necessarily thinking about it. It wasn't really a concern to them, especially as they were kind of trying to figure out, like, can we get back to 500? And especially after the weekend, like, the vibe was, oh, we're on a good place right now. Like, we're going to keep winning. And it seemed like, 2 hours before the trade, Rafi had basically been like, I'm moving on. Like, this is a situation that in his mind was kind of over. And so it was interesting that, like, the moment where it felt like things were basically starting to move on for the fan base and for the players in that clubhouse, this is the situation that kind of blows up in their face. And I think it also kind of shows this, like, lack of feel that Craig Breslow has, and not just reading the clubhouse, but also the fan base and understanding, like, the situation has kind of moved on. Like, you didn't really need to do this in this moment.
Yeah, but when you're going to fail giving up all, fail when you're saving your boss hundreds of millions of dollars, right?
That'll be the saving grace, because I would think most organizations, when your guy mishandles your best player like this, that's a huge black mark against him. But I think saving all that money will put him in John Henry's good grace.
Are you under the assumption that Henry cares about winning anymore, or has it just become like a line item on a balance sheet?
I think Henry thinks he probably still cares about winning, but he doesn't have the sense of urgency that he did before. Like, remember, like, when they went out and got Adrian Gonzalez and Carl Crawford just because the NESN ratings had gone down, like, that John Henry is gone now because his major focus is trying to globe Fenway Sports Group globally. He wants to become, the basically prime example of this next generation of sports owners, of having these global sports conglomerates and trying to outpace the private equity money that's coming to the sport. And unfortunately, like, the private equity money is coming into Boston, beyond Fenway Park. FSG has its own private equity group, but the Celtics, the Sixth Street private equity group came in and bought a pretty significant chunk of that team. Like, that money is going to start coming into sports over the course of the next 10 years. And the main reason is because all these sports owners see this massive opportunity to grow these sports teams around the world. John Henry's already doing that with Liverpool. He has a major brand in the Red Sox. That is his main focus. And that's the major conversation that I hear across sports owners, across all sports, is that, they're trying to have as much cash as possible because they need the cash in order to be able to find new fans around the world, because that is the major investment point that these owners see in order to continue growing the valuations of these franchises over the course of the next 2 decades.
And then you can die. That's it. You keep growing and then you die, and then you die a happy man.
Fred, it's a wonderful life.
I mean, you own the Red Sox. I would think that would be, in and of itself, the achievement. But no, the achievement is until you are a very, very old man to keep acquiring global assets until you die.
Yeah, so money's still coming in. Great.
Yeah, it's enough.
Yeah.
It's enough. All right. Well, June, it's not even about sports anymore. It's just the sport is the money maker.
That's what June was saying. Yeah.
Well, that's what June says. That's what Breer says. These owners, they're operating. We're all fools. Bonds in a game, my friend. June Lee, you're very introspective. You got us thinking on a philosophical level.
Man,
he's a Brookline guy. Brookline High.
Oh, believe me, Adam told me all about it. Adam told. There's
Brookline
nothing more.
High School.
By the way, there's nothing more fraudulent than a Ivy League athlete. They get all the panache of the academic credibility of an Ivy League institution, but they really didn't deserve it.
Toucher, I will say that all the Brookline bits that you've done over the years totally deserved.
I lived there. I hated it. Oh, did I hate it? I absolutely hated it. It's the worst place I've ever lived.
He'll never go to Tappan Street again.
No, well, every time the train goes by Brookfield or whatever the hell it's called, I don't like that. All right, June Lee, it's a great article. Read it in the Yahoo Sports, June. Thank you so much. Great article, great segment. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, don't be a stranger. There you go, June Lee. And again, I heard a ex-front office guy who had worked with Sparky Anderson, and take this for what you want, but he said Sparky Anderson always ingrained this into him. And Sparky Anderson, I don't care if it was 40 years ago, he won a lot.
Yeah.
He said the stars. He said the stars are what make you win. And what he would do is he'd take Pete Rose, like Dave Parker, and Pete
Johnny
Rose,
Bench.
Johnny Bench, and Joe Morgan, and he would they'd co-sign on things, like he'd bring them into discussions, and just by that's the thing, you could be the smartest guy in the world if you can't communicate that to anyone, and you can't run a staff. It doesn't matter.
It's stars and buy-in. It's the same in any sport.
Like measuring intelligence, some of it is result based, and these guys are so. They don't think in that way. Like, it's just like line items and graphs and all this stuff. You have to be able to communicate. You have to actually be able to function. Like, if you're not functioning and succeeding, all of this is nonsense. In theory, it all works, but in practice, it doesn't, because you're not able to implement it successfully. Like, I have this great idea. Well, then if the idea doesn't become the thing and successful, then the idea is worthless because you can't communicate it to anyone. All right? I have an idea. It's for a giant fist that punch everyone out. Well, how do you build it? I don't know. You do it. It doesn't go anywhere. That was a horrible analogy, but I'm trying. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
What's the best way to listen to Toucher and Hardy?
Well, you're going to have to spend $40.
Cough it up, and let's get back to Toucher and Hardy.
Had academic requirements, but they are very willing to work with you. I've seen this in the real world. They'll just tell you go back to high school for another year and clear these couple things up. And if you have the means to do so, they'll find a way to get you in. But I don't like that he poses. You know who else played sports at Yale? The Andrew Shue from Melrose Place, and he was an idiot.
Oh, did he go to Yale?
Yes, he played soccer. He played soccer with the new owner of the Celtics.
I remember.
And he's a dope.
Yeah.
Like if you go, I went to an Ivy League school. Like I have a friend who went to Princeton. He's a big scientist.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought he just sold medical equipment. I didn't realize he had invented it. For years, I just thought he sold medical equipment. I didn't realize he was one of the inventors of the machine that he was selling. He was not very living an opulent lifestyle. I did not realize these things. And he was at Princeton for 15 years, dicking around with the science, And so the athlete. You get into you don't really have an Ivy League degree. Get out of here, Yale. He's stupid is what he is. He's a dummy. He's a big dummy. You can tell he's stupid. Line item, the stupid graph.
Related to said that you guys haven't brought up this morning, but was brought up by a listener, Matt. Said Craig Breslow was the Red Sox 12th choice. Remember, 11 people turned them down before.
Yes.
Yeah, he's not an impressive guy. Sure. Like all of this seems highly unimpressive. He's got a bunch of ideas. He can't communicate to them or execute any of them.
Can't communicate to the players.
He can't communicate to other teams. He's got to deal with one team and get nothing in return. You can't. Again. For 20 years, how many times have I badmouthed the Red Sox? Maybe once. In fact, I find it tired and boring. I've said that a million times. I've said that since Hardy's been on this show.
And certainly regular season for regular season occurrences, like things that happen game to game, even or series to series or week to week. It's a long season. You just got to ride it out.
But the fans can't be more reactive than the team. And that's what I've always said is that fans, when you're pouring over a game in June, it's ridiculous. Like they can't do that. You have to forget in baseball. It's the whole point that you have to forget your mistakes because you make more mistakes than you have success. So, but this is such a massive foible. Like there's no excusing it. And I hate to say it, but anyone who's excusing this, I question their intelligence because it's just fine. You had to get rid of Devers, which I don't think you did, but fine. You had to get rid of Devers. It wasn't at that point, but what do I know? Say something was going on that no one knows. Fine. At least you traded a Hall of Fame guy might be in the Hall of Fame. Get something in return. You traded him for garbage. You optioned one of the big pieces to Worcester, and the other guy's hurt, who I know, Hicks. He throws very hard and then gets hurt all the time. You got a middle innings bullpen piece.
You didn't give it a passing interest to wait and talk to other teams. I think you could have found a way to coexist with that player for another couple of weeks.
And whatever with timing, but also you just won 4 in a row. Like you weren't at a code red situation where you were in some depths of despair. I mean, the team
wasn't dragging people down. He was hitting. He was producing.
Yeah, I don't get it. Like I don't understand it. If you were in like a 10-game losing streak and he was on the news demanding to be traded, I get it. You're at a point of weakness. But you got to get something back. And then to anyone to spin it that the team's better. Wait, the team's better. No, the team's worse. The team's much worse. Much worse. You got to play the kids. All right, well then tell Cora that because you can't communicate with the manager. Yeah. And now he's got to carry all this.
Cora's not playing the kids.
Cora's earning every dollar of his salary, I'll tell you that.
Fortunately, you face a bunch of right-handed pitchers this week, so
fortunately,
see the kids.
Yeah, we're going to go great. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
Stay tuned for more Toucher and Hardy on the listen to Toucher and Hardy.
Because it's a thing.
All right.
You know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
No idea what you're talking about.
Here's more of The Thing on the Sports Hub.
I understand, why the initial reaction would be that, it'd be tough to sit here and say when you move a player of Rafi's caliber, when you take that bat out of the lineup, how could I sit here and say that, we're a better team? And I acknowledge that.
I reminisce. Yeah. I reminisce for a spell, or shall I say?
Salute the Sample, I heard on Hardy's Sirius Satellite Radio. They were playing the sample from the saxophone, which is the guy, Bones Malone from the Blues Brothers Band.
Oh.
Like, the more you find out about that Blues Brothers Band...
Is that Blue Lou?
Blue Lou.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. That's his saxophone.
Wow.
Adam knows. He's big into the brass instruments. But, like, that Blues Brothers Band, like Donald Duck Dunn and, like, those guys were on that Green Onions song. Steve Cropper.
And
Those two guys were on the Green Onions. Like, those guys were, like, all, like,
Legit.
superstars.
Yeah.
They, like, got to, like, the world's best band.
Was the drummer, is it another Steve Jordan?
No, it wasn't Steve Jordan. It was...
No. Steve Jordan was Letterman's drummer.
Yeah, at first.
I thought Anton Fig.
And then it became Anton Fig. But Anton Fig also was in Frehley's Comet.
Oh, is that right?
Frehley's Band, which is the second Frehley's Comet thing today. So, yes, Ace Frehley was put together a very New York band featuring Anton Fig. Craig Breslow talked. Craig Breslow, I don't think is very smart.
It's the weaselly way that he speaks that really has begun to bother me. I know we're playing a lot of this.
But the thing is, John, that's valid because someone, again, if you're in management and you're leading, it's not enough to just be bright. You have to be able to communicate your ideas and have a functioning enterprise that succeeds. And obviously, if you can't coexist with your star player, who you liked enough to sign to a long-term contract, and then right after you do it, you turn around and give them up for nothing. No, that's inexcusable mismanagement. And it doesn't matter what your item says or your graph says.
It shouldn't be. You shouldn't keep your job because you saved your owner a ton of money, which is really the only redeeming feature.
But you paid him the money. See, if you were a general manager and you took over the team and you were saddled with this contract, in your opinion, and from the beginning you said, all right, look, I've looked at your pay structure. I've looked at the way this roster is formulated. You have way too much money going to this one guy. I don't believe he fits into this franchise. Blah, 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 blah. Still, we debated and you didn't get anything for him, which would still be inexcusable. But it makes it even worse that you signed him.
Yeah.
And then you turn around and go, oh, he was worth the money back then. But then I made a free agent move that Cora had to twist my arm to do. And then I didn't even communicate it enough to him to keep him with. You liked him enough. He was enough of a team guy for you to keep him around.
Well, the other part of this is that the roster mismanagement kind of backed them into a corner where they had to sign him.
Yes.
If they had let him go before, it's even worse than this because they had to sign him because if they had let him go before this, there would have been a riot from Red Sox fans. They needed at least one guy to base their future around, and this was the guy. Now, getting back to today and last night's press conference, which was 24 hours after they made this deal, is that just listening to Breslow kind of mealy-mouth his way along and Sam Kennedy backing him up 100%, it's one of those deals where you look at it and go, all right, I now no longer care if this move succeeds because every step you made was wrong to get to this point in the first place. You can't stand and take bows if this team actually goes on a run and starts winning because this wasn't your intention. Your intention was just to dump the player and deal with the consequences afterwards. It wasn't to make this team better.
No. And I was thinking about this yesterday because I heard someone also talking about how Breslow is doing something that, ownership will appreciate and enjoy. I don't understand how ownership is thinking about this because to use another analogy or metaphor, it's you've got this nice house, you've got a decent house, and you spend all kinds of money to put in central air, right? You're spending $50,000, right, to get the central air put in there, and it's in.
Of course, it would be a home improvement
and
analogy,
it
yes.
works. But that's going to raise your electric bill. You got to pay for that central air every single month. So you know what? Take it out. Well, what are we getting in return? Oh, nothing. It's going to be really hot in here, but I'm saving you so much money on that electric bill every month now, so we got rid of it.
Okay, let's do.
How does that help the homeowner?
It doesn't. And here's another thing. Breslow said the money freed from the deal could help the team upgrade its roster at the July 31st trade deadline, with the team right now likely look to pitching help, both starters and relievers, as well as first base options. Well, what do you need at the trade deadline to get players besides money? Players.
Yeah. You need to get, and we said this yesterday, to get the impact arm or body that you're looking for, you're going to have to trade one of these kids.
Right. So you could have, by trading Devers, gotten something in return if you would have ate some of that money, and then you would have given up an asset and gotten things in return. So now you're saying, well, we freed up money. First of all, there's no cap. I don't know what this freed up money nonsense is. I don't know why you couldn't have made moves at the deadline with Devers on the roster.
They haven't been so willing to blow by whatever luxury tax threshold there is.
But here's the deal, is that now you're telling me that, okay, we gave up our best asset, arguably our best asset, but for nothing. But now we're going to go give up more assets to go get something in return. Like, you could have solved all of this by not doing any of this. Or by eating some of the money and getting something in return actually for Devers.
Right.
Instead of a mid-bullpen arm.
Well, hold on a second.
And a minor league pitcher.
What did Breslow have to say about these players they got in return? Because it really is unfair to say they traded him for nothing. There are players coming back.
The quality of the return, we're going to see how that plays out over the next several years. But we're absolutely excited about bringing Jordan Hicks, a dominant late inning reliever, into our mix, and Kyle Harrison, someone we think can pitch in the front half of a rotation. We've identified some.
Get out of here with that! Oh, nonsense!
I heard you yesterday. What'd you say about Hicks?
Oh, Hicks. Well, first of all, Hicks sucks. He's a failed starter. They tried to make him a starter. And by the way, Boston had eyed him as a starter, too. Boston has had their eyes on Hicks. I know Hicks. Hicks is very fun. He throws super, super hard. He's also small and gets hurt all the time. And by the way, yeah, he's a failed starter. They wanted to do it, too. San Francisco, you took him off their hands. San Francisco took this guy. They signed him to a deal. They tried to make him a starter because he was a closer. And by the way, the Cardinals got rid of him, put another guy as their closer. Now they have an all-star closer. So their closer is better than Hicks. And they tried to make him a starter. He couldn't do it. So now they're telling Hicks, not only you're not a starter anymore, so forget about that money in the future. Now we're taking you, and you're going to make you a eighth-inning guy. Congratulations, Hicks.
I bet you anything, and I brought this up yesterday too, Hardy, I bet you they see this guy as their next closer once they trade Chapman at the deadline.
Well, first of all, that's what you really want to invest all your money in, are closers.
Anything, that's how they see it.
Right. Yeah. One of these long-term closers for an organization that are around for 10 years. That's what you want, especially with Hicks' injury history. Well, he's hurt right now, by the way.
Of course,
you better get used to it.
He can't pitch for you.
There is something to say for a guy that weighs 150 pounds, throwing 105 miles an hour, that they tend to get hurt from time to time.
They will give him a run at it. I bet you they do.
Well, good. That's move a Hall of Fame bat for a would-be closer. That's
after they lose like 9 of 12 later next month, and they fall out of this thing. Right now, if you look this morning, I'll give them credit. If you look this morning, the Red Sox have a playoff spot. They are a half game ahead of Seattle for the final wild card in the American League. They're only 2 games over 500.
Well, the AL sucks, so yeah,
right.
They should.
Congratulations, you're in. But there's a long time before now and the deadline. Well, we'll see.
Breslow's an Ivy League guy, and yeah, he's up there in the office, but he played the game. He knows the game.
He knows everything,
and he knows the players, and he's in touch with the players. So, what was the players' reaction?
The reaction from the group was surprise, but at the same time,
he didn't address. Hang on, he didn't address the team. Cora addressed the team. Cora was the guy that addressed the team. The team was saying they had not heard from Breslow. How the hell would Breslow know what's going on?
I thought
The reaction from the group was surprise, but at the same time, as they started to talk amongst themselves and, even some of the quotes that have come out today, this is a group that believes in themselves and a group that we have a ton of belief in. And I think that they are very businesslike in terms of recognizing we've got a game tonight to win in Seattle, and we've got 26 guys that are committed to doing that.
I thought Breslow flew out to the West Coast, and that was the reason they delayed this meeting with the media. That was my impression. That better be the excuse. Did you see the room that he was in for this Zoom call? It was like a cinder block basement with a hastily thrown together Red Sox banner behind him that a college kid could have made.
He might be out there, but the report that I heard was that Cora had been the only guy that had talked to him.
2 days ago after they made the trade.
All right.
They say Hicks is 6'2", 217. I don't know about that. He don't look that way to me.
Okay.
I had to look it up. He don't look that way to me, but what do I know? He don't look like he don't look like Crochet out there. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe Breslow talked to the players, maybe didn't, but he did talk to Cora, and
When he has insights to provide based on really having his hands on the pulse of the clubhouse and player reaction, he shares them. And that's really important information. He also understood all of the dynamics here, what we were trying to build in the short term and the long term, and understood the direction. Ultimately, Alex is someone who puts the Red Sox organization first. He is behind this and supporting it.
I'm not sure of that.
I just
I'm
think
not
that
sure. Based on,
I can't imagine with all that Cora has done and all the different personalities he's been around and managed that he was in this group that just felt like Devers was going to be the undoing of this clubhouse, and he was somehow overall, in the short term and long term, bad for the team. There's no way Cora felt that.
What did we find out in the interim since the Red Sox made this deal? The upper management said we wanted to integrate the kids. Alex Cora wants to win right now. Does trading Rafael Devers help him win right now?
Of course not.
So,
there's no one on that team that is like, wow, our team's better. I mean, they're not morons. I mean, by the way, they just swept the Yankees. Like, this is all craziness. Like, It wasn't like they were in this free fall. I mean, they had just regained their footing thanks to the pitching. By the way, they haven't been hitting, and Devers was one of the only guys that was hitting. This is nonsense. It's all nonsense. By the way, Jordan Hicks, 6'2", 217. Aroldis Chapman, 6'4". Guess how much they say Aroldis Chapman weighs?
240?
218.
Oh, 218.
Get out of here. Hicks is 217 pounds. Get out of here that Chapman's 218 pounds. What the hell is Chapman's a beast. Chapman, 260 pounds.
All right, did Cora come clean with any of these issues that Devers was somehow presenting?
There's some reasons that it didn't work out, right? And I don't want to pinpoint stuff, whatever. The last few months hasn't been easy, right? We made decisions in the off season. Circumstances have changed the last month, and this is a decision we made as an organization. Now Rafi's going to be with the Giants, and like I said, we have to turn the page and be ready for this team.
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah.
Good times.
I mean, again,
don't have to pay him anymore, so they're happy.
I never badmouth this organization. I think it's all overblown. I think the whole crushing the Red Sox for everything is a tired trope. I don't like it. I've said it many times. This is inexcusable mismanagement.
You might even call it an inflection point.
I told you this yesterday because I'm a Cardinal fan, and I can only speak through my own prism, so that's why I'm doing this. If the Cardinals traded their best asset, which is right now, that's not a kid, Helsley, their closer. Mm-hmm. If they traded him for the package they got back from San Francisco, I'd be pissed about that. Let alone Arenado in his prime. I mean, get out of here. Seriously. Say another third baseman, Nolan Arenado, who's a borderline Hall of Famer, correct?
I think he is a Hall of Famer.
Probably is a Hall of Famer.
He is a Hall of Famer.
But Devers has comparable numbers, probably better numbers than Arenado. But I don't know. Who knows? It's just, but they're on the same track. If you would have heard when Arenado was 28 years old that he got traded for garbage in the middle before the trade deadline, it would be criminal. And you know what the Rockies did to Arenado? Rockies, are they a good team? Good organization?
No.
You know what the Rockies did to Arenado? They signed him with the promise we're going to contend, and then they went out and crapped themselves And then they were in a position where they had to unload him because he became a malcontent, and they owed him that because they lied to him. And well, look at where the Rockies are now. They're the worst team in the history of baseball. This is a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke. If this was happening with another team, you would be listen to every Steve Phillips, any guy who's talking about this. There's no one defending this move.
No.
It's nonsense.
I was ready to crush the Red Sox.
And there's no. See, I don't do that.
I think he was on the call too.
But Jesus Christ,
I think he was.
We were very well represented.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this: it shows you how much media interest there is. But this is a catastrophic mistake by the organization. The return you got, I don't understand. And it wasn't a distressed asset. That's the thing. Is that like the San Francisco Giants now, everyone else in the NL is like, what the hell? They are. Everyone around the league is like, Jesus, what did you do? Why didn't you ask us?
They happened to be on the phone at the time. That's what it sounds like.
It's insanity. It's insanity. And then you hear people in the media, oh, well, the team could be better now. How? If they're better, it's despite themselves. If they're better, they were going to be better anyway. Because if the rotation all of a sudden, continues this domination, that has nothing to do with you getting rid of Devers. It's not. You would have been better with them.
It is part of the writer's way of doing things that if there's so much going one way, you feel obligated to write a support piece the other way. I saw in the Boston Globe last night. These, like it or not, the Red Sox have freed up a lot of money to do X, Y, and Z. And you know what? This is a clear path now for Masataka Yoshida to play. What? That was like the number one bullet point. What are you talking about?
So
you actually fixed your hands to type the keys to bring that to everyone's attention.
So Yoshida is a better option at DH than Devers.
Unbelievable.
He's a better hitter than Devers. He's a Hall of Fame hitter. Good. The numbers Devers has put up this early in his career, by the way, put him up against anyone that's ever played for the Red Sox. Seriously, anyone this young that's played for the Red Sox, put his numbers up again. They're Ted Williams, Jim Rice numbers. And you just got rid of him for nothing. And that's something no one's spinning. No one's going, well, you don't know. That's something that people do. Yeah. You don't know, because you don't. Like, you don't know about these kids. No one's saying that. No, I have not heard that from anyone. Any ball washer, anybody. I haven't heard that.
There's no Devers was a distressed asset. There's none of that talk.
No, but also your return, there's no one going, you don't know this kid is really got the potential to be something. Because there's no one. They got no one. No one's going, Jordan Hicks is going to do this, that, or the third. No one's going, this kid that you just optioned to Worcester. Harrison is going to be anything.
Pitcher, yeah.
And then you took a lottery ticket arm and a kid with a low ceiling, a positional
high
player.
floor, though, Fred. High floor.
Well, the kid that his draft stock was hurt because his inability to hit was the problem.
But he was taken 13th overall, Fred.
Yeah, to a lot of people shaking their heads at that pick.
Yeah.
Outside of one Sox beat writer from the Globe and David Ortiz a little bit. Yeah. No one else is defending this or saying Dan Roach. Okay.
Yeah.
And by the way, Ortiz is an employee of the team.
Yeah.
Right.
And Ortiz might be offended.
He didn't even really call it a good move. All he said was that it was Rafi's ego that
it was his fault. Yeah, look at me. I did everything they asked to be, and I have a lifetime contract. Don't go against the people that sign your checks, is what he said.
And Ortiz, by the way, works for the team and probably is a little offended because he was brought into the team to kind of talk to Rafi Devers, and then now that he's moved, it makes Ortiz look bad in his mind, I would imagine. So I imagine he's pissed at Devers. I would imagine Ortiz is pissed at Devers. I would be. Like, the organization brought me in to be like a salve for you. And it didn't work, so now it's over. All right. We'll be right back.
More touch.
985thesportshub.com. Roach has texted me. I was under the impression that he supported the move, but he says he's not mad. But I do want to clear it up if I'm misrepresenting it. He said it's all in good fun, so I'll just say that. I started out by saying I wouldn't have done it, then I told you what they were thinking, and Anthony is the face of the franchise going over lots of layers to this one. And I understand the layers is that they made a huge mistake, but Dan wouldn't have made the move. So he's not saying he would have done it.
He did spend a lot of time discussing what the team was thinking when they did it.
Well, I know what the team was thinking.
But that was it.
They're trying to set some kind of tone while saving a ton of money, and they're trying to force Cora's hand to play these kids, which is why I'm confused why they didn't trade an outfielder.
I know.
Where you could have just then played Anthony every day.
Like a scene out of Moneyball where, Brad Pitt's character just keeps trading guys until Art Howe has to play them.
Well, it's also an interesting story that Moneyball ends with nothing. They win nothing.
Ends with them losing.
Yeah. So, and they never win anything.
Yeah.
I hate to spoil the movie, but they never win anything.
Hate to spoil the 25 years after the movie.
Yeah, now they're playing in Sacramento, so good for Moneyball. They're playing in a minor league park in Sacramento. Everyone with the Moneyball. Moneyball didn't work.
But soon they'll be playing in a stadium that people will go to once and realize what a horrible idea that was.
Yeah, in a town that doesn't want it. So there you go. Indoor baseball and the new Tampa. You're going to have Tampa and Vegas. Yeah. Two dead ends.
Have fun walking over to that stadium when it's 114 degrees. And it looks like it's close. Another spoiler alert, It's not
No,
close. Even if you can see the stadium from your hotel room.
We made that mistake when we were in Vegas. We went over to Allegiant for that Patriots game, man. It looked like it was close. Nope.
Yeah.
Not close at all.
And that's at a time of year when it's actually not bad to walk
That's
outside.
right. That was in September.
Go
that was
do
easier.
it in July.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have fun. David emailed and said, Hardy, good morning. I hope all is well. Will the Sports Hub be broadcasting the Toucher and Hardy show live any of the days of the Travelers Championship?
No one emailed
Thanks.
that. No one emailed that. You just made that up.
Dave Polizewski.
Who is the face of the Travelers Championship?
Head of media relations.
No. He's got a Yahoo mailing address.
Right, because no one from the Travelers would have that.
Are his 2 numbers right underneath that?
And he even
At
got
travelers.edu.
a little nickname for his last name, Dave Pal. Because he doesn't know Polizewski. They call him Pal. Palsy Wowsy is what they call him. Yes, Dave will be there tomorrow broadcasting live from the Travelers Championship.
Yeah, we're staying at a beautiful chain hotel this evening.
But it's nearby. It's nearby.
It is. Well, it is nearby, and it was expensive. So listen, the station had to pay a lot of money for us to be at the Travelers. This is from a guy, Mike. You will be very delighted to learn. You guys had Nick read the comics, and he read For Better or Worse. And when you said that, I said For Better or Worse is just rerunning the comic because the lady who drew it died. And this guy says, you will be delighted to learn that Lynn Ridgway is still very much with us. And in 2008, drew a comic strip of herself making the announcement that she was not retiring, but in fact taking the strip back 30 years and starting over with the storyline to when she started. This is not a Jesus, Fred. You were wrong in your knowledge of comic strip history is trash. You actually got me curious and thought it was somewhat interesting that she was dead, but that she was not dead, but rebooting her own comic. Is that true? I actually should fact check these things before I say people are dead, because oftentimes, strangely enough, they're not dead. And then I don't like doing that. And I'm not saying it with glee when I say these people died. I have nothing against the woman who did For Better or Worse. In fact, people still point to the dog dying. It's one of the great sad stories in comic
Lynn
Oh.
strip
Johnston is a Canadian cartoonist. She is 78 years young.
Okay.
For Better or For Worse is still seen in over 2,000 newspapers throughout Canada, U.S., and Mexico, running as reruns.
Yeah, I think it is reruns, but I could be wrong. Yeah, reruns. In the last panel strip of August 2008, the next day, For Better or Worse ran as usual, but Michael's once again a small boy asking his young mother Ellie to get him a puppy. What Johnson called reruns, restarting her storyline, 50-50 mixture of reruns of early strips and reworkings of 80s strips. This sounds like a very loose reworking. It sounds like more like a rerun of the thing.
Sounds like someone just put it into neutral and said that's enough.
The format continues with strips being republished approximately 29 years after their initial appearance. What has happened to the cartooning industry?
It's very disappointing.
At least political cartoons are still with us.
Thank
I
God.
need to see the donkey
That
getting
and
kicked
Ziggy.
by the elephant.
We need Ziggy and all those colorful sunsets.
You know, my dad used to work with the lady who made Kathy.
Oh, good.
The copywriter was Lawrence Kasdan, the guy who wrote Empire Strikes Back and The Big Chill. And the lead graphic artist was the lady who did Kathy at WB Donor in the late 70s. Uh-huh.
How about that?
Yeah. And
I'm
there
looking
my
at-
dad was.
I'm looking at some of
It
the
contributed nothing.
some of the storylines of For Better or For Worse. You already mentioned the death of the dog Farley, and that inspired all kinds of things, including the Ontario Veterinary Medical Association to use Farley's name and likeness for the Farley Foundation.
I'm getting a lot from Canada that if you, because I listen to the Geddy Lee book and I listen to the Lorne Michaels book, if you're from Canada and you don't leave, Canada really appreciates that. So if you're doing a comic strip that's in the United States, but you're living in Canada and it's based in Canada, you pretty much don't have to pay for a drink for the rest of your life. Canada really likes that. That inferiority complex is very,
Massive.
very real.
Yeah.
Very, very real.
They had a character come out as gay, one of the Michael, one of the children in the family.
Yeah, that's when I stopped reading it. I couldn't take it. I was like, now you've gone over the line.
And I boycotted it.
I boycotted it. You'll remember me. I did the walkout at my elementary school.
I'm not looking. Not looking.
I did a walkout.
Not looking.
We got
Woke Lynn Johnston.
Yeah, we got the Detroit News, and I walked right out when I saw it in the classroom. I said, "Don't bring that trash in here."
Here's an email from Jim. I never noticed it until today, but why does Fred have a craft in the box type seat? It's like he's the king, and you two are his peasants. Is Fred sitting a little higher than the both of us?
Well, you just described why.
I see.
Okay. I mean, that was it. It's obviously a visual trick to showcase my superiority.
Wow.
Would you like to know the? Whoa!
Hardy's.
What is the difference between
Letterman?
What is the?
That's true. Letterman
What
did
is
that
no?
forever.
Colin Cowherd does that. What is the difference between my setup and your setup? Not the board. Why would I have to sit higher than you guys? Can you find out why? Because there is a reason.
The monitors are further away. Oh, the boom on the mic.
The boom on the mic goes down and your guys goes up.
I
So
see.
to sit here, you need the big chair. Because allow me to illustrate. If I'm down here, what am I doing? Now where am I in relation to my board? I'm not at a level. So even though this board does nothing anymore, I can't turn off your microphone as I will now, Jonathan, as I am superior to you. And now that has been established, I can't run the levels on anything anymore. I don't know what's happened.
You need a new boom.
Well, I'll give it 5 booms.
Big justice.
Boom, 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 boom. Everyone's got traveler's fever right now. Excuse us if we're being a little loopy.
I can't wait.
We're all excited for the 100-mile drive.
It's gonna be awesome.
How are
Connecticut.
how are you getting there?
I'm driving.
Oh, no one's taking you. I thought you were being taken.
Big upset.
Wow.
I wanted to be taken, but then I decided that I'll just do it myself because I'm so in the car all the time anyway. It's nothing to me anymore, but I do stand by that we should. I was talking to Bob from WROR, who I suggest you tuning into right now. And Bob was telling me when he lived in New York, you had 2 options. This is he was just a DJ.
Mm-hmm.
They would give you parking in this hotel across the street, which was like James Bond stuff, or you got a driver. So they gave you a physical driver.
Jesus.
If you had any air shift on that radio station, they'd pick you up in Connecticut or Jersey and drive you into the city and take you back. And I don't think it's ridiculous that if you're doing something for free, we're not being extra. There's no extra compensation for going to the Travelers. That part of that is I don't feel like expensing the gas. I'm not going to go through that, but part of it would be including transportation. I don't. If you win a trip to Hawaii, and they go, well, you got to buy your own airfare. Well, you're like, thanks a lot. You know, that's no trip. It's like when you win a car for getting a hole-in-one or a grill. You're like, thanks. I got to pay it's a lease, and I got to pay the insurance on it.
We're getting compensated. We get to see an extra practice round if we want.
Yeah,
that's the extra compensation, Fred. Now, I am not sticking around for the practice round, but
Hardy and I are.
It's possible. The two of you are sticking around for the extra practice round. Good
Well,
for you.
I've stayed for a couple days.
Nice.
I've got my hotel through Sunday night.
Oh, good.
I have through Saturday.
And that way, because
I got to beat the traffic on Sunday.
if they end up going to extras on Sunday, I don't want to get right back into the car. I'm not staying Sunday night, but I want to be able to go back.
Yeah,
and
I
shower.
took Friday off so I could just walk the grounds.
I was told there's parking right across the street from the golf course. No satellite lot. It's very easy in and
It's
out.
true.
This is what I was told.
He's not lying.
Well, I mean, yeah, we all know that. We've seen the documentary.
Yeah.
Parking
You guys,
in the Travelers.
you guys are going to be singing a different tune tomorrow, and I know how much you enjoyed broadcasting from the Deutsche Bank. You
I actually did like it.
Yeah, the hospitality suite off of 16 was very good.
I'll tell you.
We're not talking about that stupid stuff, John. We're talking about the love of the game.
I'm sorry, that's on me.
Shut your stupid beak.
You know, heavy metal parking lot. Little known sequel to that was Travelers Championship parking lot, where they just talked to the elderly couples waddling into the Travelers.
A lot of families. A lot of families.
I don't know if we're going to be able to
Family
keep
event.
you stationary. You're going to be hopping up and down. Look, I see that guy.
Well, there's going to be a lot of familiar conversations going on with Hardy and the people. Like, there's going to be a lot of like Hardy's the point guy, and we're kind of just sitting back, and he's having a conversation. I already know what's going to happen.
Who are the golfers? Thanks.
You want to talk about a high chair?
Yeah.
Tomorrow is going to be very much Hardy's high chair.
Yeah, I know. He's not going to be able to stand up if you know what I'm talking.
Well, the guy's playing in this thing. It's a signature event, which means there's a lot of money. There's no cut, and even though it's right after the U.S. Open, Scotty Scheffler is going to be there.
We
Rory
have-
McIlroy
getting
is
these
going
guys?
to be there.
They coming? They coming to the table?
Either Scheffler, McIlroy, or Eric Cole. We're efforting one of those three to kind of lead us off tomorrow.
Well, McElroy is actually stopping his ban of media, and he's actually coming to do an in-depth interview.
Wow.
No, it's like, I know what it is. It's like the one in Hilton Head after the Masters. On Harbortown, everyone, because I'm sometimes there for it.
Big event, and they started doing this because guys were skipping the week before and the week after majors.
It's the same thing with the Harbortown.
Yeah, so like, how do we fix this? We make this purse a ginormous one, and we guarantee you a check because you're going to make the cut.
Yeah.
There is no cut. I got an email here from Jim. You got to see this photo, Fred, and maybe I'll post this later. He said, I was in Vegas a month ago, and this is my view from New York, from the New York, and the site of the new stadium. Again, a month ago.
Yeah.
What do you think? How does the construction look?
It looks like the streets of Detroit they're doing construction on. I don't see anyone working, and I don't see anything getting done.
There is literally no structure at all for the new baseball stadium. There are big piles of what looks like fill.
No one wants it there. No one wants it there. Baseball is Manfred. This is on him. It's his legacy. There's nothing they could have done in Tampa, so whatever where they're playing, that's just a natural disaster. It's very Bush League that you're playing in this park. This is Major League Baseball.
It's supposed to be for the next 3 years or 5 years or whatever it is until they can get this park built. A, I don't know if Las Vegas has officially approved it yet. But B, there's a reason Sacramento took this team because they think they're going to keep this team. They think they're just going to stay there forever.
It's like an Oklahoma City situation.
Yeah, exactly
where
right.
they can prove themselves worthy of a Major League Baseball team.
Yep.
And we've all been to Sacramento. I mean, that's just icing on the cake for your yearly trip to Sacktown. Sacramento, a city I intend never to go. I would die very happy.
Been
saying
there
I've
once.
Never gone there.
I was there 24 hours. That was
you probably were calling a basketball game because the person calling it didn't want to go to Sacramento. All right, we'll be back. You always got those great Minnesota, Oklahoma City, Sacramento runs that strangely people would sit out.
Oddly enough, I've hit all of those towns. Yes.
Correct. I'm aware. I was here. They would be like, "Oh, they're taking the worst road trip of the season." John's there.
See you
What
later.
about the Laker game? Oh no, he'll be back for the Laker game.
That's right.
Yeah, he's just missing all the towns in between.
Yep.
All
That's
right.
correct.
We'll be back in just a moment to put this one in the dock for the day.
Sports.
describes himself in 7 words.
A guy in tights and a cape.
And Hardy with blunt honesty.
I am not known as Mr. Fun.
Toucher and Hardy continues on the Sports Hub. We know what you're thinking. What could I possibly have missed from the show? It's time for The Stack on Toucher.
We are Toucher and Hardy. Sarah from Everett, she hadn't been emailing, but she emailed me at 9:35.
Were we discussing golf? Is that the problem?
Oh, maybe.
I mean, we weren't so much discussing golf as we were saying we were going to be at the Travelers Championship.
She sent a really mean email about John earlier, too. I don't think she likes John.
No,
she switched her. She used to not like me, but she said she liked my McCarthy impression.
Oh.
So I got that going for me.
I'm on the S list?
Oh. She's got to hate someone.
Yeah.
Remember when earlier in the show when John had trouble clearing his throat at one point?
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of looked at you and she said, what the heck is with John? It's gross. Day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, listening to him gargle mucus on a reed. Sorry, John, but yuck.
Is that her?
Yes.
Oh, boy.
She's the one who wore the turtleneck over her mouth, right?
Yeah, you know who Sarah from Everett is.
No. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah,
yes.
remember? Like
she was the Ellie Patterson of the show.
Yeah.
She also emailed and said, oh, never mind. We're going to go down to Sarah from...
Yeah, let's
not do that. Instead, let's focus on a reissue of an album. It's a Metallica album.
Oh, Reload. The Load era Metallica. Bring it back.
Almost. Load. Remastered and limited edition deluxe box set. Almost 30 years after its release, Metallica's 6th studio album.
Yeah.
Enhanced by previously unreleased studio recordings and live tracks, the newly packaged edition of Load comprises a total of how many tracks? Take a guess without going over.
30.
John, you want to take a guess? How many tracks on the and you're way low.
I saw this. I know the answer to this.
Wait, so it's just unreleased tracks from the Load sessions?
It is unreleased tracks, studio recordings, and live tracks.
Yeah, you're way low.
That's the thing is that on Spotify often now they'll have deluxe editions of albums and it'll have the demo versions of songs and it's just a worse version of the song.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
90.
301.
Oh, yeah. Jesus Christ. Oh, he's not up, by the way, Adam. His board's not up. The Load era Metallica is the great... What was on Load?
Okay, I'm glad you asked. I think it's a pretty good album.
Oh, it's awesome.
Ain't My Bitch, 2x4.
Don't know that.
The House Jack Built.
Don't know that.
Until It Sleeps.
Oh, yeah.
King Nothing.
Yeah, King Nothing. We played that.
Hero of the Day.
Yeah, we played that. Yeah, Load era.
It's so bad.
Bleeding Me.
You know what Load the cover was?
And then it kind of peters out after that.
You know what the cover of Load was?
Yes, it was literal.
I mean, it's a slang definition, but it was under a microscope between you, me, and the wall. That was a gross cover.
Yes.
That's so funny that they're reissuing. Anyone who buys that, they should take away their driver's license when they're walking out of the record store. If you're buying a 300-track issue of a good band's horror, and I don't even like Metallica, but I understand why people do, Load is garbage. That Load era Metallica, there's parody Twitter accounts that used to be like cover bands only of Load era Metallica. It's like Billy Joel, only 80s songs.
Okay, what about Reload?
From Step Brothers.
You got...
What's on Reload? Remind
Fuel?
me.
Yeah, give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire.
Love Fuel.
Yeah.
My favorite Metallica song. The Memory Remains, featuring Marianne Faithfull. La, da, da, da. Remember how that song tailed out?
I don't know anything that we didn't play on the radio. I've never put
You
Load
would
in.
have played that.
The Unforgiven 2.
Yes.
The song's so nice, they made it twice.
Which made James Hetfield cry when Howard Stern put on Sir Elton John to tell him he thinks it's the finest song ever written.
I'm a nice man.
Next to this.
Because we're Unforgiven too. We played that so much, and I disliked it more every time we played it.
It's just wild to think that they, at the time, remember, put it in the context of time, like they alienated half of their original fan base with the Black Album and then said, let's do something that's even more mainstream with our next 2 albums.
And all it did was make them $1 billion. Maybe literally $1 billion.
No. It's a smart move in hindsight.
But that's split 3 ways. And then Trujillo, they gave him $1 million. Big deal.
That's pretty cool at the time, though.
I think they gave him like the $1 million bonus, but
No, they gave him $1 million.
He gets, but he also, I think they were like, but you're also now a full member of the band, so you're going to get a cut of things moving forward.
But not publishing.
a quarter, but like still he's going to get paid.
Yeah,
you know?
you're going to get paid like a band member that is not of equal footing.
Right.
Yeah, I understand that. But handing him $1 million would be like me, Adam, handing you $100,000. It would mean nothing. It would be king nothing, to be exact.
Estimated celebrity net worth for Robert Trujillo now is $40 million.
Yeah,
so he's
good
doing
for him.
He's doing okay.
Well, that's what I'm saying is the $1 million was an empty gesture to me. All right, very good. That'll do it for us. We'll talk to you tomorrow from the Travelers. Jealous.
Cromwell, Connecticut, baby.
Cromwell, look out. We'll be there. I went to rehab in Connecticut, so maybe this will remind me of my great days in rehab. Maybe it's by
fingers crossed.
not New
Fred.
Cannon, but Cannon,
You should
Connecticut.
keep a map
Puzzle Factory.
You should keep a map on the wall of all the states that you went to rehab in and put a little pin in each one.
I don't have that many pins. All right, so we'll be on tomorrow unless one of us dies in a traffic accident going down to Connecticut.